Success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal.
I'm gonna show you how great I am.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the NJ podcast, which is a podcast hosted by myself and Njabulo James, and we like to talk with people from all walks of life. It doesn't matter where you're from, where you're going. I honestly believe that there are a lot of insights that we can learn from you, wherever it is that you find yourself at your current walk of life. We speak to entertainers, we speak to consultants, project management professionals, comedians, everybody that's out there, because I honestly believe that everyone has a message to share and that we can learn a lot from each other. And my favorite tagline on which this show is based off of is the success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. That means that you're going after what's true to yourself and your highest values, and not because somebody else is forcing you to do so. And that's the only way that you can live a very fulfilled and inspired life. And on the show today, I'm always excited to be chatting to a good friend of mine. He's been a mentor to me, been a good friend, and definitely we've been through a lot together, a lot of almost go lives, but
so close.
Yeah, so close. Like he's also an author. He is a consultant. He's also a project professional. He is I'd like to call him a philosopher. I call him a poet, and he's someone who's very big on Africa and telling the African story and the African Renaissance. He authored the book Through a Black Iris, which he took some time, and he went and he took some time, took some money, did things that not a lot of people would do, and go and travel into Africa. And when I say Africa, I'm not talking about South Africa or Cape Town, because this is Africa Light. I'm talking about Africa. We went to you were in Ghana, right? Did you go to Ghana?
I've been to Ghana.
Yeah.
But on this trip, it was, Sudan, Egypt, Ethiopia.
Yeah.
All the way coming down.
Yeah, 100%. And there was some ups and downs. It's like a very interesting book, very interesting read. And I learned a lot, but he's going to tell us a lot more about that. So, Alick, it's a good pleasure to have you on the show. And if you could just please give the people an introduction to who you are. Actually, what is Alick? Where is Alick? Why is Alick? Come on, take it away.
First and foremost, thank you for having me on the show. As you said, Alick. So besides my professional credentials, wannabe poet, wannabe philosopher. I don't call it that I'm in the closet. I know socially that has connotations, but yes, somebody once said that just because you don't publish a book or poems or whatever, as long as you write, you're a writer.
Exactly.
Yes, so I'm a writer, I'm a thinker, spend time thinking, imagine a lot of things, I enjoy my imagination. So why Alick? Heck, I don't know. My father is an egotistic man, or was an egotistical man, so he named me after himself.
Yeah.
I think you said why Alick, what Alick? At the moment, as you said, enjoying being alive, or striving to continue to be alive in these times. So yeah. In a short summary, that is Alick.
In a short summary, yeah, definitely. He's a good friend. Good friends always roast each other. I was roasting him about being dark. I don't know why.
Oh yeah, no, that's a given.
Is that a given? Am I not the only one that roasted for being dark?
I had a Teams call at work the other day, and I was wearing a hoodie. And everyone's like, okay, let's have a video call. And I was like, nope, not today, because my hair was a mess.
Yeah.
It didn't help that I was leaning forward.
Yeah.
When I put on my video, and everyone was like, all we can see is a shadow. And I was like, that's actually me. And they're like, oh. Yeah, no, it's so cool. Being roasted is fun. I'm
not the only one to roast you for being dark.
Nah,
I remember it was a Toastmasters contest season this one time. And I was like, I've got this friend called Alick. I was roasted for being dark. Which is the funniest dark story, dark joke that you've been told?
Being told, I've lived this. I mean, if you grow up in boarding school, and depends. I think most boarding schools, kids can be cruel. They don't mean to be cruel, especially when they're teenagers. I'll never forget. Those two, myself and this one other guy called Asha.
Yeah.
He was darker than me.
Darker than you?
Yeah.
I can't imagine.
Yeah. Oh no, trust me. If you think he was darker than me, but like his whole body. Whereas for me, it's normally
just the face.
Just
Okay.
the face.
Yeah.
So I remember we're standing in line. I think we're in Form 6, and he comes and we used to wear black school shoes.
Yeah.
So you obviously you're gonna put polish on your shoes every day. You're supposed to. So I remember he put polish on his shoes, and he went and he swiped the polish off the shoe.
Yeah.
He swiped my face and was like, guys, there's no difference. Yeah, I have never. Out of all the jokes, that one stayed with me.
That's deep.
The fact that I remember that one just tells you how deep it was.
I used to be like, like a friend is dark as the night himself, called nickname Under the Bed.
Yo, I don't know, those ones for me, we had another one. I think they called me. So it was that one, and then the other one was, in translating it into English, it means the night eater.
The night eater.
Yeah, but in our language, because it literally means you are so black, you are consuming the night.
But you're consuming the night.
I was just like, wow, okay, this is how we're doing it. So yeah.
His white blood cells are black.
Yeah,
he looks like he has no bright ideas.
I'm just like, you guys were mean, eh?
The difference between him and midnight is 11:59. He looks like he can never tell a white lie. Before he eats chocolate cake, they say he must wear white gloves so he can tell the difference between his hands and his cake.
So you're one of those. You're one of those. Oh, James.
No, I'm kidding. Every time I see him, I get sleepy. No, I'm joking. I'm joking.
Such a clown.
Oh man! But the fact that I say something to your character and your humanity for you to be able to take jokes and for you to be lighthearted. What is the importance of being able to not take things too seriously? Like as a joker said, why so serious? People sometimes are like serious all the time, and they're standing up straight, and then they all have these dagger eyes and looks, and then they can't take a joke. They can't take any certain comments, and they're all serious all the time, and they send themselves to an early grave. What is the importance of being able to laugh at yourself, laugh at your mistakes, and just don't take yourself too seriously? What's the importance of that?
I think in this day and age, especially from a professional perspective, you already have the stresses of the professional world, and I think I'm also taking it as a lesson learned. The one leader I work with was like, don't take it personal, don't take it serious. And I was in a situation where the person hadn't said anything, but I was already getting worked up. I'm like, I see where you're ready for this fight. And she was like, don't take it personal, it's just professional, keep it moving. And it was like a point of reflection. So for me, to answer your question, it's a work in progress to actually know that, okay, some of these things, I think there's a saying about water off a duck's back or whatever. I think don't take it personally, just keep it moving. Conserve your energy for more important things. Yeah. I mean, I know there's the adage that says sticks and stones can break my bones, but words, that's a lie. Words can hurt, and they do scar people. That's why we have mental issues and all of that.
Yeah.
But there's some words where I actually don't need to let them grow in my heart. You've said it, cool, let it pass. So I think for me it's a conscious mindset, or it's you have to put effort in it. It's not just a general, this is my happy-go-lucky character. No, you actually have to put effort in saying, okay, cool, this person said X, Y, Z. I shouldn't take it to heart, let it pass. This person's, or these words, okay, cool, there's value in these words, there's no value, or that's a joke, or that's not a joke, or okay, then that's serious, I need to take note. So I think it's just a conscious effort of being able to ascertain what's of value to you, to take note of, and what to just let slide.
Yeah, especially in this day and age of social media, people can give you comments. They don't know you, they don't know your context, they don't know what you're about, what your history is, and they'll be able to just say like, this Alick guy is a weird guy. I don't like him. But they don't even know who Alick is. They don't know what you've been through, and people want to be quick to take offense. Some people are looking to be offended. They're like they're so sensitive, like they want for you to be offended. But for example, you'll say, I like reading books. I was like, are you saying audiobooks are bad? No, I'm just saying I like to read. Now you just want to be offended. What's your take on people who want to be offended?
I actually think they have, okay, just in case I offend somebody by saying this, I'm just going to think about this carefully. So not knowing, so I'm going to speak from a lack of knowing. So there might be the individual who is looking to get offended, or who's already on edge, and those words or the comments that they see set them off. I think they have some homework to do, or they have a journey that they need to undertake to move a bit away from the edge, because consistently being on the edge, or looking to light up things is not a healthy way to live. As you said, it sends you to an early grave, or you find yourself in a fight that you're not prepared for. You'll find somebody who will put you in your place, and you're like, I was looking for a fight, but this is not
this is not mine.
So I think people need to take a step back and just reevaluate or think twice before you comment or you start a fight. I know I've been there where you're looking for a fight. You are primed. You're like, oh, just say the word. I'm waiting for you to say that one word. I promise
you, boo boo.
Yeah, I'm there. I'm ready. And then the person doesn't say it. You're like, you're lucky.
You're lucky. I was ready for you. I was ready. Entire arsenal ready for me to.
No, I won't lie to you. I've been in some work sessions where I'm just like, I'm waiting for the person to say something. I'm waiting. I'm going to bury them. I'm just waiting, and they don't say it, and I'm like, okay,
lucky.
Yeah, which is not a good approach. I mean, it's a bit vindictive. It's not right, but we're human. But
I don't even know if it's a healthy mindset to have every single day.
No, it's not. Definitely not. I think it's for me borders on being a bit poisonous. You're supposed to be cultivating. I'm not saying happy thoughts or that, but cultivating things that grow your character, grow the people around you. So if you're in that mindset of, always being on the edge, you're ready to attack people, that's not a healthy environment to be in. And neither, I don't think your circle of, be it friends, professionals, whoever you work with, will enjoy your presence if you're that kind of person. So I think it's also a work in progress for you as an individual. If you find yourself consistently being on the edge to say, there's a problem here. I'm always on the edge. I'm always ready to fight. It can't be the world. It's me. There's something I must change about me so that I don't think the world is a place for me to fight.
Yeah, I mean, that talks to the power of and the importance of introspection. I think it takes a very mature person, which I believe that you are, for you to say, okay, fine, I can't keep blaming the entire world for my negative realities. For example, I can't keep blaming the government. I can't keep blaming taxes. I can't keep blaming my family members. I can't keep blaming people who won't lend me money. I can't keep blaming people who don't know what I am and what I should be doing. So that's a very very tough thing. So what's the importance of introspection and the ability to self-assess?
I think it's very important in terms of speaking to introspection. Self-assessment, I don't think it's a difficult thing to do. And also I think it depends on if you even understand what you're trying to do in terms of the criteria. What am I self-assessing against? Am I a good person? Good, there's a bracket of good depending on your morals and ethics. You might think your behavior is acceptable, but maybe in doing the introspection, be like, okay, actually the words I'm saying to this person hurt them, they're crying. Or me not showing up for my son's sporting event, it's very important. So I think it's very key. I think because that's where you learn to grow. Actually, that's where the growth occurs. Or some growth, not all growth. As a character, the character of a person is when you start doing that introspection to say, okay, this has happened, I reacted in this way, it's going to happen again. How do I react better, or how do I prepare such that, you know what, I'm not affected the same way? And also understanding, I think, what is it called? Locus of control, and things that are outside of my control. The ripple rate has gone down. Me as an individual have no influence on that whatsoever. These are things that are happening out there.
They're macro.
Yes, I'm like, okay, cool. But within the things that I can control, those are the things that I should spend my energy on, instead of worrying, the bank won't give me a loan, or the government, or petrol price has gone up, or there's a war in Iraq, or this and that. I'm like, what can I do? I have a limited impact on that. So I know somebody might say, there's plenty of things. For example, Greta Thunberg, the girl who's, yes, she's championing this whole thing of environmental awareness, climate change, all of that. And I'm like, great. That's her. She's taking on this macro thing by herself. But most individuals, I think we should still first identify what you can control in your influence before trying to worry or even worrying about the rest of the world. I think we should start here. And I think that also starts with introspection to understand that, okay, cool, these are the things. So for me, for example, project work or at work, I think that's where I've learned it most, to say, okay, cool, there's certain things I can control. Anything else is outside my control. I can get to a point where I'm like, okay, dear manager, dear whoever, this is what we have done and can do. Here are options. you then need to tell us what to do. I can't go stress the fact that, for example, we can't go live because the Reserve Bank has said XYZ. I cannot do anything about that at all.
Short of witchcraft, you can't do anything about that.
Yeah, short of going to visit some uncles and aunties somewhere. I'm just like, hey. So I'm not going to lose sleep.
Yeah.
And it's a lesson. It was a hard lesson learned. I remember previous projects when I was a bit younger. I would sleep, but my mind is thinking, if we don't go live, this is going to happen. What can we do? This. Then somebody was like, dude, here, keep it here. Keep to the things that you can.
Yeah, keep
it here within your mandate, man. Here. Anything outside,
bring it back. Just
keep it here, and then anything outside, say boss or whoever needs to know, please deal.
Do you think it's a daily decision that you need to make?
I think it's tough for it to become a daily habit. I think it can.
Yeah.
It can become part of a daily habit. Just like, for example, some people wake up, the first thing they do is get coffee. For some people, it's meditation. Some people, it's cycling. So I think introspection, for example, for those who meditate.
Yeah.
I know. Okay, I'm gonna say I know. Part of meditation, you try to clear your mind, etc., etc. So I think it can be part of a daily habit to say, you know what? Spend 5 minutes just reflecting maybe on the previous day, reflecting on your behavior, and say, okay, cool. This happened yesterday. Potentially, I'm going to face it this week, or the whole week is going to be tough, or going to be in situations where we're fighting. How can I improve as a person, or how can I relate to the situation a bit better? Or me and somebody are not getting along. It's just not working. Is it me? Can I get the other person's point of view? What can I do to mediate the situation?
Yeah.
So yes, it can be a daily thing that is possible, but with all things, it must become a habit for it to to stick.
For you not to kill yourself and send yourself to the grave, and that happens a lot to project professionals. It's you can, like, I know, like, one of the first major projects I worked on was with you. Like, the amount of time we used to stress about the developers in India, the how the testing's going, what Steerco is saying, what the IT manager is going to be saying, and then I think it was also when I'm interviewed, in the job market, I always bring up the story where they say, name a time when you had to can a project. I'm like, listen, I didn't can the project. So the stakeholders at B, they went to can the project, even though we're about to go live. They went to can the project. That's a very heartbreaking thing. So, given your experience, that was all of, I think, more like 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Since that, because I knew how heartbroken you were. since you've grown, what is the difference in your mindset now versus back then? What has changed in your approach to dealing with disappointments at work, or when things don't necessarily go your way?
So eventually I did get a go live. It wasn't their project, a different project.
But
it had been so long, it wasn't the euphoric feeling. I enjoyed it, but I kept it moving. And I've learned, it's a hard lesson and it's a hard habit to not take it personal. So I'm not saying I don't get severely invested in work. I do. But since that project that was canned after like 16 months, and I remember I cried that Friday in my house. I can still see it clearly. Got the phone call from the PM, project manager, telling me this was happened, steer call. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Yeah, the tears.
It's okay to cry, guys.
I won't lie, it was in my house by myself, just like, okay, shed a couple of tears. But in terms of what's changed, I don't know, it's give me a second to think about it, because I'm in the middle of a go, no go. In fact, we've been told we're not going live.
Yeah.
And I'm not losing sleep about it. I mean, I've planned in my head the various scenarios to say, if they take option 1, this is the plan. If we take option 2, this is the plan. If we take option 3, this is the plan. But my life still continues fine. It might be 1 month, it might be 5 months. But I've just learned to not internalize it as a personal failure, and not to take it on, what's that word I'm looking for? Like, it's a Herculean task if you invest yourself in a project so much that any change in timelines or any risks, you feel like it's on you. So that's where I've gone. That's where I think I've called it matured.
Yeah.
Back then I was stressing the lights out. Yes, in this current one I did stress, but leaned more on the team. The team rallied together. We did the best we could, presented, and business was like, okay, we're not going live. I'm like, okay, that's fine. We'll wait on you to make a decision. So it's not, I don't know, I've just maybe maybe I've aged.
Yeah, maybe it's
because
age.
5-6 years of doing different projects, different environments, where you're like, okay, this can happen. It can knowing that from the get-go, it can happen that the project can get cancelled. I think it's already got me in that mindset where I'm like, when it happens, it's like, I knew it could happen, so I'm not too phased. So I think
stress about it.
No, it's part of working in projects.
Yeah. So what is in terms of your working career? You've been at it for how long now?
I'm in my 11th year. So
11
10 years. Well, 10 years in this professional field.
An entire decade. This guy.
I'm not that old.
No, you're not that old. You've been working a decade. No, where I'm coming from is not the age, it's the experience part. Because when you go on like LinkedIn or a job post, they will look 10 plus years experience, 5 plus years experience. I'm like, there must be something to this 5 plus 10 plus years experience. What is it about? But one of the things I'm starting to, as I grow and I mature, that you can't really replicate experience. When I say you can't buy experience. You can't shortchange experience. You can't shortcut experience. So what's the importance of experience for you?
It's interesting. I was playing around on Twitter, and when...
Hey, be careful on Twitter. They'll fetch you, these guys. Huh?
Yeah, I know. I hardly comment on Twitter.
You get cancelled.
I like or I retweet. Like over the last 6 months, I hardly write anything. I'm just like, okay, like.
Find tweets from 10 years back now.
I know. Okay, for me, not 10 years, maybe 3 years.
What did you do 3 years ago?
I think that's when I joined Twitter. I'm not that old on Twitter.
I was like what scandal were you?
No.
No, I'm kidding, yeah.
So, somebody had commented saying, no, this one you must watch it. It was a video by, I think it's Vusi Tembekwayo.
Yeah.
And in it, he's talking about, I think he was showing the difference between business owners, entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
But there was one point I just got out of the whole thing where he spoke about, as let's say an entrepreneur, somebody who's starting out, you can't go straight, for example, to hiring 20 people and, you could. But what you're saying, his point was, you need to live the process that you are getting the people. You need to write the process. For example, if you're hiring salespeople, they're all going to sell in different ways. So even if you give them a sales process, you need to have gone and sold first. So that when this person comes and gives you an excuse, you can be like, that's nonsense.
Yeah, that's nonsense.
That's nonsense. I've done the process. This is how you do it. Operations, this is how you do it. Finance, this is how you do it. So for me,
one of his master classes,
Yes. That's so you are speaking to experience to say you can't jump. So even if you're given funding for 100 million and you're a small startup, you need to go through the hard lessons of going from a 3-man crew to a 10-man crew to 20 men to 100 people. But you can't jump from like, we're 3, tomorrow we're 500, and you think you'll be able to manage 500 people. So for him, it was what I was getting, and speaking to your point, is experience. You need to go through the process. You need to learn the lessons. Because in those lessons, when you eventually meet another scenario or similar scenario, it's not a shock to your system. You have lived through it. You know exactly what to do. We're not saying that you will get it right, but your psyche or your mental well-being, or you as an individual, when things are not working right or they're working well, you know how to deal with them. Whereas if you don't have that experience, and I think that's to your point, you cannot buy experience. You have to go through the process. Because that gives you that wise head or that level head when things are not going well, to know that, okay, it's fine. We need to do X, Y, Z. We need to do X, Y. And when things still don't work out, it's like, okay, cool, we'll pivot, we'll do this. And I think you can only get that from experience. There is no amount of textbook reading.
Yes.
Even if you download the whole internet into your brain. Given that you always deal with human beings, and human beings are dynamic, we are different, we are unpredictable.
Why are people so difficult, Alick?
I cannot answer why people are difficult, but in working with people, you will gain the experience instead of just thinking from the get-go, oh, this thing will work. So for me, very key to go through the process of attaining experience. I'm not saying you must be 15 years of experience before you attain a position, but I think there's value in going through the process, whatever is put in front of you, to say, okay, cool, for you to become a lawyer, you need to do 5 years of this. So for you to become a doctor, you need to do 2 years of residency, whatever. There's value in that.
Yeah, and a lot of times, I was also in this position, wanted to shortchange the process. cut the corners and try. One of the developers I work with, he said, try to create a baby in 1 month using 9 mothers. It doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
It takes 9 months of gestation period for you to produce a child. And in this sort of culture that we find ourselves in, there's instant coffee, instant noodles, Instagram stories, WhatsApp stories, Facebook stories, tweets are only 160 characters long. We want things to be bite-sized and in chunks, and that mindset does have its place. But when you're playing the long game, and in certain things you can't really just buck the process, because at the end of the day, you're not shortchanging yourself. You're not shortchanging the process. You're shortchanging yourself at the end of the day. Yeah,
I agree with that.
Yeah. So when have you? What experience did you can you recall in your working career whereby you went through this and say, because of the experiences I went through back then, I know how to handle this much better?
I think, so we do software. I'm involved in software delivery.
Yeah. Best industry ever, right?
Yeah, put a man and a machine together, things will work. Or put software and a machine together, yeah, there's complexity. So getting people, or getting a product to market from a software perspective involves some form of testing, user testing. So where I found experience helped is how over the years, I'm not saying I've become better at it, depending on the environment, you can champion, say, guys, in this previous project. So for example, the project that we worked on together, even if we look at how it started, I remember we had to go find cables, we had to go find a room to host 12 people, we had to go find, we had to organize lunch, like all of those things. There was no manual for us to say, you've got 12 people who need to come. In fact, no one said you've got 12 people. We had a product to go to market, and we need to find people to test. So the whole logistics, I remember you and our other counterparts organizing that. For me, we learned the hard way. There was no manual. It was just okay. And then fine, the first day was just horrendous. I remember the first day we had to go find extension cables, and I'm just this is not our job, but hey, anyway, you do it.
Yeah, it had to be done.
So then second cycle comes, you're okay, cool. Make sure you have a checklist. You need to have a room, you need to have a projector, everyone needs to have their laptops, people need to have SIM cards, people need to have all those things. So for me, that was experience in progress.
Yeah.
Because now move on to other projects, and people are okay, cool, want to deliver this thing immediately. I'm okay, cool. Yes, fine, software. When we get to this part, where is it going to happen? Do we have the infrastructure? Do the people have this? Does the room have this? Because I've been burnt in the past, and I know that those things you can lose the first day or second day of the process or testing, because the logistics are not set up right. And those are some of the things, or an example that I've carried forward to say, yeah, fine, delivering software, who's going to test, how are we going to carry it out, etc., etc. I know it's a weird example, but for me, given where I am, I'm just hey, these people are very important, because without users testing the product, I would never champion for a release of
let's jump into oh boy, being a project management professional in IT, I don't know why people think that you've gone through analysis, you've gone through design, you've developed it, and now you think you're going to go live without the most important part, which is your internal testing and your user acceptance testing. I don't know why certain projects or organizations think that you can just underrate testing and just take it to market, because that's how one of the Apollo missions failed. They didn't do accurate testing. It's we have liftoff, and then it blows up in the sky. I remember Adobe decades back, they released a product that was not fully tested. Information was lost, and it was just a whole big catastrophe. There was a major bank in England that didn't do testing properly, and the things just went south. So why is it that people see that they don't want to go through this important thing called testing, and then they say you didn't develop properly? No, you didn't test properly.
I was in a conversation with someone recently about it, because I said, if you ask me if we can go live based on the testing that's been done, I'll say no. Sure. Do you want to ask me? Then the person was they gave an example. They said the most successful companies in the world are run by accountants. And there are other companies run by developers or engineers, but those are not as profitable as those run by people who have financial backgrounds.
Okay.
And the point we were going to say, engineers and people with like a systems thinking background want perfection when it comes to a product. Whereas in people who have a bottom line at the end to say, does it work? Yes, the product works, but it's not perfect. It's fine. We'll launch it and we'll deal with the ramifications
and then
afterwards.
We'll run patches and updates and throw it into.
So that was just the person's justification to the whole scenario where I was saying, don't ask me because I'll say no if you want us to take this thing live. And the person was like, but it works. And I'm like, yeah, but doesn't really work. It doesn't meet what I would say, okay. I'm not saying it must be perfect. But where it was going is like, you can spend months, weeks trying to perfect the product, testing and fixing. Whereas at his level, what he was advocating is like, yes, it works. Let's take it to market and we'll learn from it. And I was like, I'm comfortable with that approach, but there's a line where we agree. There's perfection, which is there. There is no testing, which is here. And then there is the line in between that says MVP.
Yeah.
We want to get here, but for the product is finished, but it still needs to be tested, even from a test. There's product development, but even from a testing perspective, there's up to here we're comfortable for it to go live. After that, we're seeking perfection, and we don't need that. I'm saying let's get here. It's like we don't even need to get here. So that was my argument to say.
Okay.
If we get to this MVP from a testing perspective, we say, okay, 90%, most of the functions, we've removed the big bugs, the critical ones, the major ones. So that was an example where I actually had an interaction with somebody where they were saying, it's okay to go in and it's not fully tested. And I was like, nah, it's not going to work. Don't ask me. You guys can sign it off. But for me, nah. But it's interesting, and I've done it before. I've actually taken a product, but not out to market, like internal system.
That's safer.
Where you have 5 people using it. So but what it means is, fine. I think we developed October, November, December, 4 months. November, December, 4 months. We went live with this product, and I put inverted commas live because it was still in the UAT environment. It was even a UAT environment. Yes, it was in the UAT environment. There was like 2 users, admin and 1 user. But what it meant was, when I say 1 user, 1 profile with multiple they all didn't know that they were accessing it using 1 account. It meant there was admin for me now to make sure that, okay, if anything broke, I and my team will run around to fix it, because we knew that this thing was not thoroughly fixed, thoroughly tested. And the developer would always tell me, dude, we need edge case testing, we need this testing. And I'm like, I know, and I don't have the capacity. These people are on my back to say, let's go live. I hear you, I understand you, I know it's going everything against my grain. But the powers that be are saying, go. And I've got to bring home the bacon, so I'm going to go. Because they said go, and they know that things are not working. They've signed off, so I'm like, hey, if they're comfortable.
As long as you highlighted that issue to them and they're happy with, fine.
It's not my fault. That way you say, okay, guys, we've noted the risk issues. Here's what could happen. Here are the impacts. And if people sign off, I'm like, okay, you signed off, you've accepted, let's move on.
And then you sit back and watch Thanos stamp his fingers.
That's when you hope not, because then it's not them who are going to have to deal with Thanos. It's you who has to then jump in when something has gone live. Because you have led the process from the front-facing person. It's interesting when people say it's your product. I'm like, no, it's not my product, guys. It's not. I'm just helping the train out of the station.
It's not my car. I'm driving it, but it's not my car.
It's not like I've made sure the wheels are there. We've patched it up. Maybe the brakes don't fully work. Like you need to use both feet for the brakes to work. But the car stops. The car stops.
But
now when the person's driving, they still call you, and I'm like, no, man, no, don't call me. Call the other people. It's not my product. But it's lessons learned. As long as you articulate, and I love that word because it keeps being used the work. Articulate the risks and issues, and people sign off.
Then
you've done what you can.
Then you can go home and relax. But it's interesting. I haven't really thought about that mindset where you've got the money thinking, and then you've got the software engineering thinking. That's why they're like, no, go live, we'll fix it later. It's the money. It comes down to economics.
The product needs to go to the market. The market needs to absorb the product. people meet their KPIs, we launch the product, everyone's happy, the money starts rolling in, you start fixing and rolling out patches because you know you have issues. So you immediately, even while they're going live, you're rolling out patches.
Yeah,
so,
exactly. Yeah, so just a question while we're talking about all things work related and corporates and the corporatocracy. I remember hearing that on a conspiracy documentary. I don't know if you heard of Zeitgeist.
I've heard of it, just haven't watched it.
Yeah, I watched it and I was like, this is interesting. Where they're saying that the world's not run by countries, it's run by corporates. Where corporates will go and buy off politicians and buy off countries and all these things. I don't know how true that is. I was just reading, I was just watching it just out of interest. And then this one guy, I think he wrote the Confessions of an Economic Hitman, and then I can't remember his name. But he went and he said that the corporatocracy runs the world, whereby you've got your Amazon, Google, Facebook, Apple. Their revenue is worth more than some countries are out there, which is very true. And they really make all the decisions. And it says that entire structure is called the corporatocracy. I was like, this is
interesting terminology.
This is interesting terminology, right? So let's talk about corporates, not the corporatocracy. I want to get from your perspective in your 10 plus years of working. Question one, what do employees get wrong in their mindset when it comes down to work? Because sometimes we'll complain, it's like, I'm not being paid enough, don't have enough leave days, I'm not being heard, the people are not considerate of my needs and my career growth, and I'm working too hard, or people are not catering to me. What do employees get wrong? And on the other side, what are employers getting wrong, and how can we sort of make sure the relationship between the two is better? I know there's a lot of them, but like from your perspective,
I'm sitting here and I'm like, well,
all of them.
I think communication. Communication is key. Mm-hmm. And I know that sounds like a generic answer, but in all these problems or scenarios, you can think of be it communication, empathy, being empathetic to. So maybe so this, for example, from the employer situation towards employees, being empathetic to their needs, their working situations, their home situations, and I think in the current environment. So if we take pre-COVID. Mm-hmm. And there was plenty of conversations on social media to say, guys, pre-COVID, when you'd give the excuse to say, I'm going to be late because my helper isn't at home yet and I've got 2 kids to take care of, and people disregard that, or the fact that they still expect you to work through the night or work maybe up until 6, yet they know that, hey, you live 60 k's away or 70 k's away, you have to catch a bus or you have to catch a taxi, or for example, I know it's starting to work when people for entry-level positions where people say must have own transport. I'm like, how do you ask somebody as a graduate to have their own transport? That's really discrimination against 90% of South African graduates. Because most people of color are not going to start off working with a car.
They can taxi, they taxify, they Uber, they Bolt. I think maybe that's what they're thinking.
Yeah. So for me, it's like, okay, being empathetic, and speaking of COVID now, where everyone's working from, not everyone, those who can are working from home. So you've brought the work into the home. We hear your kids, because most people, or some people we hear your kids, and what I've realized in some meetings where even the facilitator says, it's okay if your kids are making noise in the background. It's okay if the dog is barking. We have brought the work into your home. We understand it's okay. If your kid comes to the phone and says, hello, it's okay. And I've had those meetings. I've had meetings where the lady's telling me, sorry, I'm breastfeeding. I'm on the phone and the baby's crying. Give me a minute. I'm like, it's okay. You do you. We are here.
I still want my report.
No. Yeah. But it's for me, it's empathy for example, from the employer side going to employee, and even people to each other. For example, we had a call the other day and this person was sick. I don't understand personally why they even joined the call. I'd set up a meeting, they accepted, go into the call, this person can barely speak. I was like, please stop there and get better. You can send me an email later. I'm not going to ask you to speak. So I think it's those things where you need to be empathetic, or employers need to be empathetic in general to people's situations. Before making like a hardline rule, to understand individual cases by individual. Then from employees, I know we love to complain. We feel wronged. The money will never be enough. That's a fact. The money will never be, even after you get the increase, your lifestyle will change. Your lifestyle change.
The money will never be enough. You hear that? Nina banje.
You know, honestly, I was
Why do you say the money won't be enough? I'm just intrigued to.
So if I reflect back when I started working, and I have a spreadsheet that I've been using since I started working. I just hide the tabs. I know exactly how much I was getting paid when I started working, even from 2014, how much I was spending on groceries, what I was buying in groceries. Back then, I even used to put a list in my Excel spreadsheet to say 6-pack from Pick and Pay. I never used to go to Woolies. Yeah. I never used to go. Then the money increased. Then all of a sudden, Woolies is not so far off. Even though, and I said not so far off, even though that when I used to go to the mall, Woolies was the closest, but I would go to the other side of the mall where Pick and Pay is, because that's where my budget allowed me. But now the money is increased. Now all of a sudden Woolies becomes visually appealing. I find myself in Woolies. Now my budget, my lifestyle is increased. Now the money is no longer enough because I want to enjoy the good things. Then you find me complaining again, saying, the money is not enough. Okay. Yet I got an increase 6 months ago. But because my lifestyle is increased or has changed, now I'm like, these guys are not paying me enough. They're overworking me. So that goes back to what we were talking about earlier, that introspection part. So why is it that I'm getting more money, but I still getting more and more broke? Well, what's going on? It's either the people who are paying me, or it's this person here who's spending money frivolously and just... It's the individual. So before my employer... Yes, that's what Alick is saying. You guys are the problem. So that means there's genuine grievances. There's genuine grievances. But before getting to that part where you're like, okay, cool, I've identified this is genuinely a problem between me and this person, or me and my employer. I think we need to do that introspection to say, okay, from a finance perspective, is it the money that's the problem? Maybe it is. Then it's like, okay, cool. Do I need to cut down on my lifestyle? As all these things that I'm complaining about financially, to say if I get more money, my life will be sorted. It'll be sorted for maybe 3-4 months before something else comes along, and then you're like, okay, the money is not enough. Is it growth at work? Is it opportunity? Is it training? I know in some companies those things are literally at the back of the mind. They don't even exist. There's no training policies. And for some people, some employees, that it makes a big difference. Like, I've been at the same job. Yes, I've got promotions, but I've not been trained. I've just been learning on the job. I've not been trained. That means if I go somewhere else, or if I look at the industry to say, given, yes, I've got 10 years experience, I'm a senior editor, or I'm a director, or whatever. Could I be in a different position if I got training, if I got coaching, if I got mentoring? So some complaints are genuine. So as employees to actually look to say, actually, yes, I want training, I want coaching, I want mentoring. How can I get that from you guys? I think those are genuine things. So as much as we complain, I think it's also maybe the way we put the words or the complaints to say, let's not put it as a complaint to say, okay, for me to perform better, I need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then for me, that's why I'm saying it's communication. Because we are going to go as a complaint, and just between the two of us, we're complaining. But when I'm not going to actually tell my manager or my, I'm not going to address the problem. The problem with the person who can do something about it. Potentially, we actually had I gone and spoken to them and said, guys, I've been here 10 years. I'm looking to improve my skill. Yes, I've got training on the job where I do the stuff at work, but I would like to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things. Is there training available? Or I've noted there's a training policy. How many days can I get for training? So I think it's the communication to actually go and say, your policy says XYZ, or this says XYZ. Is it possible for me to get this? Then have the conversation. But that's outside of the genuine grievances. I mean, people will not always be nice. They are people who make working conditions very difficult, and in those instances I believe complaining is the right way to go, but obviously follow the channels. So I won't speak to the grievances. I mean, where people complain genuinely, that has to follow the process. All right, no, that's good. So like, so there's a difference between genuinely complaining about, okay, I'm being mistreated, I'm not getting the training, working conditions are not optimal for me to be able to perform my job at the highest level. Those are genuine. And then what do you think the split is between a genuine complaint and a non-justified complaint coming from employees? That's difficult. Just based on your experience. I can't talk about the entire world, but just based on your experience.
What's the percentage ratio? Is it 20% valid cases, or is it 80% invalid cases? Which
difficult. I'll split it even. I'll toss a coin. I'll say 50-50 because I'm still going to go with have the conversation. Let's at least then it's all in the clear, or it's all in the open, or it can be like, I've told you, or we had a conversation about this and you didn't address it. Whether it's genuine or not, I told you. And when depending on the employer, or the person who's hearing the complaint, like, okay, I didn't know this is how you felt, or there's this option, or actually that's not really genuine. Have you tried XYZ? So I'm going to split it 50-50 for a lack of data.
No, that's fair. Deming said, "In God we trust, all others bring data."
Yes.
Without data, you're just a person with an opinion.
Yes, and that's why you put a disclaimer to say, without knowing all the data, this is my opinion.
We definitely have to do that, because as like I said, cancel culture will find you.
Somebody will pick this up like, hey, 10 years from now,
we'll find you. We'll find you. Before we go into your African journey, just on that, because I've been thinking about the concept of cancel culture. One of my favorite comedians, Kevin Hart, he faced the brunt of it. Was it last year or the year before? Supposed to host the Oscars. They found tweets that from him 10 years before, and what that version of cancel culture is saying is that, okay, this is where you, or Alick or Njabulo or Kevin, 10 years ago. This is the type of thinking that you had. And then even though we know that you've apologized, you've grown, you've become a different person, you don't hold the same views that you did 10 years ago, we're still going to hold you accountable for what you once were. So that's making the assumption that I can't grow as a person. What do you think about that aspect of cancel culture?
Woo. Loaded, heavy.
I've been thinking about it. Like, I've just
So I won't speak to that specific incident. I'll speak to cancel culture, where you've done something, or you shared certain views
back then,
and now we do not know. The world does not know definitively that you have changed. Change comes in actions, not always. And unfortunately, every time we, as individuals, as human beings, we get caught out for wrongs we did in the past, we apologize with our words. And we say, I'm sorry for whatever hurt I've caused, etc., etc. So I think people then find it difficult to say, 10 years ago you wrote, I think it was even like another issue that happened now with some lady, some model. I think she posted racist remarks years ago on Facebook or Twitter, and somebody found it and they dragged it to the present, and all of a sudden, she lost the contract.
Oh, wow.
And fine, you can justify and say, no, but I've changed as an individual. And it'll be like, okay, but is the evidence over the years that you've changed in your tweets or in whatever forums that you initially posted those remarks or did that behavior? Has there been a change? And I think that's why people then find it difficult to say, nah, you're just apologizing because you're apologizing. You might actually still be the same person. Now because things are on fire, you're just like, I'm sorry guys, I'm sorry.
But you haven't changed.
So I think that's why people are like, we don't know if you've actually changed. And that's what makes it difficult. Is it right to hold to have that view that you haven't changed, or to make the assumption that you haven't changed? I don't think so. I think people should always be given the benefit of the doubt. However, the other side of the coin says, the actions that you did, some of these things that people say are so heinous, and especially if you're a celebrity or a person of influence, so that goes beyond celebrity, you could be a politician, whatever. If you're a person of influence and you say certain words, those words carry power, and they carry influence, and people carry out certain actions based on that. You might not know it, but for example, so you might say something, or that person might have said something back then. Who knows? Maybe somebody went and got discriminated upon because of those very same words. So or maybe some kid saw that and felt that, it's okay for me to say this. Or maybe some kid who is in that situation is like, is this what celebrities or people of power think of people like me? So it's then very difficult, and I understand why people then say cancel, because you don't know the damage that you did by saying those words or carrying out those actions.
That's interesting.
In some instances, for example, for some instances, it's clean cut. If a man cheats or if a woman cheats, we know the damage is the relationship. It's here.
Yeah.
If there's kids, like the whole thing just
Exactly.
becomes a mess.
Yeah, we don't need
But-
entanglements.
Entanglements. Where there's entanglements, we know then it just becomes a mess.
Yeah.
But however, in those instances where you say words, you post on media, and then people drag you years later, who knows what damage you did back then? And unfortunately, we don't live in a world where the data can actually show you by saying this comment, this thing happened to this person, this thing happened to this person, or this person could have done this, but because they saw your comment, they never did this. Like, we don't have that, but we just know potentially you have caused damage. So I think that's why then the cancel culture is so strong. But to say, we don't know, yes, you've changed,
Yeah.
but you never paid for your crime.
Paid for your
And this is the time to pay for your crime. Yes, you've changed. We admit you're saying you changed, but maybe your actions don't show it. Maybe if your actions showed it, maybe it could be a different thing.
Yeah.
But then one would also hope that, okay, 10 years ago, I didn't believe, I wrote a comment. You wrote a comment saying XYZ. And then maybe 9 years ago, something changed. You went through an experience. Then you start advocating for the right thing. But in that advocating, you must also say, I did wrong. I said this.
Yeah.
I apologize. And you put actions into the words.
True.
So I think that's the part that sometimes people don't see or we miss when people are just apologizing. But like, yeah, you're just apologizing, and then what? Have you gone and you made social change or champion for social justice? No, you're about to lose a $5 million contract. That's
why you apologize.
Yeah, so no. But if you can tell me that you've been championing change for the last 10 years, guys, please, let's continue forward this momentum. I admit, and I've been admitting for the last 10 years, and I'll continue to admit I was wrong. I am changing. Let's move forward. I think then it might be different, or it might be more palatable to say, guys, yes, I did wrong, but can I apologize and keep moving forward? So that's my view. I think I understand why people, the cancel culture is strong, because we don't know whether they've actually changed and if they've paid for your crime.
Okay, no, that's actually quite interesting. That had me thinking differently about it. That's Alick. There's no need to cancel him. He's a great guy. Cancel him. He's a great guy. So, one of the biggest defining moments of since I've known you for the past 5 to 6 years was your passion for Africanness. There's no apologizing for you being African. You own it 100%. Well, you support Man United, so how African you support Real Madrid. How African can you?
How? So it's not.
I'm just kidding.
I can start naming the soccer teams from DRC. What's African?
I don't know. Put your phone away. You're not allowed to Google it. No, so you don't make apologies for it. Like even your dress, and sometimes at work you will come in with the dashiki.
Yes, with my kente cloth.
With the kente cloth, definitely not making no apologies for it. So, just give us a brief background about your African heritage and what made you write. Just pass the book here. Throw black iris, baby. Throw black iris. Good stuff. I thought it was about demon possession, but
oh wow!
I'm kidding. No, it's a very good read. So just give us a background of your African heritage, and then what made you decide to embark on this travels into Africa.
So briefly, so I am from Zimbabwe. Born in Zimbabwe, raised in Malawi. My parents are from Malawi. Lineage into Zambia as well. And then using those genealogy tests, I think, or ancestry tests that Wits could trace my roots back to West Africa, and I think that's from my father's side, and from my mother's side, Central Africa, so the Zambia, Congo region. So that's my African heritage, and I grew up in Zimbabwe and Malawi, back and forth from a schooling and home perspective. Grew up traveling around, not traveling for the fun of it, but for work, because my father was moving around in Zimbabwe, lots of different places, different provinces, different languages, and then and a big family, as could have been expected of families or people having children back in the day in the 80s. Plenty of children. Life was booming. Countries were becoming independent, so people were living the good life. Why did I travel? I think it was 2014 December. Was it 2013? 2014. Yeah, 2014 December. I was cleaning it was December. I hadn't gone anywhere, so I was cleaning up my place during my leave. and I was reading Forbes Africa magazines that my girlfriend used to bring every month from her workplace. And you read and they'd have highlights to say this is happening in Benin, this is happening in Ghana, and Cote d'Ivoire, all these places. And the more I'd read the magazines before, but now as I was cleaning, I'm like, wait a minute. I'm reading, I'm like, okay, I know where the place is on the map. I've never gone there, yet I have saved money to go to Brazil, or I'm saving money to go to Europe. I don't know Benin, I don't know Ethiopia. I know where it sits on the map. I can tell you the language, can tell you the capital city because I studied geography and I was amazing at it, but I know nothing.
You've never been.
I've been to the States, spent 3 months in the USA. I didn't come back with an accent.
I was about to say, I thought you would come back talking out there.
Talking like this, no.
Nah, me.
No. Well, there was no, where I went. There was only 4. I always reiterate, but that's another story. 4 black people in the whole town.
In the whole town.
Yeah. So
what was this? Was Southerners?
No. I went to Montana. It's like up in the north. But
which state is that in?
Wait, Montana is the state.
Is Montana the state?
Yeah.
Is that a state in the United States? Okay. Yeah. Anyway.
So I'd been to the States for 3 months. I traveled. So now I'm looking at these books, these magazines, and I'm like, I don't know my own continent yet. I'm planning to go elsewhere. And the more then just based on the narratives of stories I'd already read, and then I started researching about, okay, what did it mean to travel around Africa? And then the narratives I was reading were very Western narratives, and unfortunately that's how the media portrays it. Like, okay, Africa, dark and dangerous. And then you look at the book titles by people who had traveled through Africa. I was just like, whoo, okay, these titles are a bit heavy. All right.
It's a bit little in Africa.
Yeah, it makes it seem like you're actually really going into the jungle. Everything is the jungle of Congo. I was just like, my goodness, did they not know that, we're out here chilling with Wi-Fi?
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
I'm out here in my cabin with a 40-inch TV, like life is good.
Yeah.
So it was that kind of little flame in me to say, I didn't have an idea to write a book, but I was like, wait, I want to travel. I want to see this Africa that is being said is dark and dangerous. In fact, let me see it now while I'm young, before, I have kids and all of a sudden, Africa, dark and dangerous is not appealing.
Or even better, before COVID, eh?
Oh, definitely. If I had that foresight, I'd have traveled a bit more.
Yeah.
So it was as I was just doing some minor research, I was like, let me see if I can actually travel my own continent and see it with my own eyes. I'd been to Zambia, but I was like, okay, I actually need to see the rest of the continent. And so, started doing some research, and the more I dug into it, the more I was like, I could do this, because then there's other people's books I read or blogs I read. Most of them were Western. I think it was 1 or 2 African who had blogged or written something about it or YouTube. And I was like, this is an adventure I could go for. This is something I could do that I had never planned for. I'd never imagined. There was no hope, dream, or even a thought of traveling across Africa. So in those moments, I was like, why not? Let me save up. It's not like I have anything big on the horizon. Let me see if I can do this. And that's, I planned a trip of I don't call it of a lifetime. I think a lifetime is a long time.
Yeah.
But it was a trip of a memory. It was quite a trip. So yeah, that's where it started. 2014.
So what are some of the countries that you went and traveled to, and which was the most interesting one?
Each one had its own. So to your first question, it started out in Egypt. Well, started out in South Africa, into Namibia.
That's not Africa. That's
Africa Lights.
Yeah.
So
even the bags are like African ROA.
Yes, rest of Africa. That's what they refer to it as. Egypt, Sudan, Ethiopia, Kenya, Uganda, Rwanda, Zambia. Did I go to Malawi? No Malawi, no Mozambique. Yeah, Zambia, Namibia. Then obviously in South Africa, Lesotho, and then ended the trip in Zimbabwe. Yeah, so it was like Cairo to Cape Town, and then plus bonus.
Okay.
Yeah. In terms of interesting, each one has its own, and it depends what you're looking for. And I guess it's a lesson in traveling or in adventure, whatever you want to call it. Sometimes whether to go with a bucket list of things to do, things that you want to see. Like, okay, if I go to Egypt, I want to see the pyramids. I actually don't care about the price. I want the whole shebang, the whole experience. Or I want to I forgot the name of the boat. Starts with an F, Felucca. I think it's called a Felucca. the Egyptian boats. I want to sail on the Nile and
Yeah.
spend 2 nights chilling on it. So if you have a bucket list or a list of items, say definitely this will make my experience worth it. Then when you leave, you'll be like, you know what? It was amazing.
Fantastic.
I kind of went with a blank slate, and I had the good and the bad. So to speak to your which was the most interesting? I never thought of the most interesting. I'd have said Uganda, because Uganda. Like Uganda, I met 2 German girls who said, in essence, they unblocked my mind. So I just come off the projects that we had done together. And I was still Mr. Consultant with the spreadsheet. I had planned everything down to the T. 4 days here, spend $10 for food, $20 for this. I had literally I had a spreadsheet. I had my little laptop, my notebook. So every day I'd wake up, look at it, like, okay, cool. Okay, how much money do you have? Okay, you've got 4 days here. All right. Okay, cool. What can you do in this place? That's how I was experiencing. So when they saw me do that, we're chatting at breakfast and I met them in Rwanda. Then they convinced me, like, dude, you're not enjoying life to the fullest because it's too planned. There's no time for spontaneity. Thank you. Excuse my English. Yeah. So they're like, come with us to Uganda. I was like, I've just come from Uganda. They're like, dude, you are way too wound up. You're going to miss out on life because everything's a plan.
Yeah.
So in that moment, I will not lie to you, I closed the laptop and I never opened it to check the spreadsheet again. So off we went to Uganda. They told me about some lake, I think it was called Lake Bunyonyi. It was like 20-something islands. There was some eco resort. I'm like, an island on a lake. First and foremost, I know it just never clicked in my mind that on a lake there could be multiple islands. Like I never thought about it. Get to this place, I'm like, this is cool. Met a guy from Germany as well. He was going to go see the gorillas. Ended up swimming in the lake. I've never swum in a lake before. Like I'm actually thinking, Bilazi. I'm actually thinking of all the things that can go wrong.
Yeah.
These people are like, dude, you need to relax.
Hey dog, this is not UAT.
They're telling me you need to relax. So fine, spend some time on this island. Go back to Kampala. I had amazing food in Kampala. I think, what did I do in Kampala? Went around, saw the mosque. There's a mosque in Kampala. Went around the 7 hills of Kampala. Like life, I began to see life in a different way. It was no longer, I need to get to this place, need to buy a bus ticket, need to do this, need to do this. So then I began to actually enjoy the trip more. Not that I hadn't, I mean, there'd been times it was bad, but like as the situations were evolving, starting from Uganda, the lake, going to Kampala, the nightlife in Kampala, I was like, oh, cool, we're going out, all right. I'd not gone out before, but okay, let's do this. So for me, I would say Uganda. And the people there.
And did they say anything about, because I recently finished watching The Last King of Scotland, the movie with Forrest Whitaker, was depicting the life of Idi Amin. I know he was a Ugandan president. So did you interact with anyone who told you about the history of what happened there?
So at the mosque, we didn't go into too deep. I think it was at the mosque. There's a place on one of the hills where you could see, because I didn't go, either it was his palace or his residential place, and then they explained that, okay, that's where this guy stayed, etc. But by then, I was like, okay, I don't need the whole history. I'm good. I've just come from Rwanda. That's already scarred me. I cried. I'm good.
I want you to tell me about
So
Rwanda.
from there, I actively began to avoid places because I was just like, there's more to a place than its trauma, but you can't hide the trauma. You must. But I was just like, the Rwanda experience. I was just like, whoa.
What happened in Rwanda?
Like I think it's inevitable if you land up in Rwanda. Country small, you land in Kigali. At some point, even no matter which town you go to, there's remnants of what happened. There's buildings that still have bullet holes. There is, the mass graves, like especially in Rwanda, in Kigali. I forgot the name. Is
that the capital city? Okay.
There's a place, I forgot the name of it, but where like they tell you that there's like 250,000 bodies underneath unmarked graves. Like you go through this center, almost everyone is crying. I'm there and I'm just like, and the stories, and I had a person like I went to, was it in Tarama? I forgot the name. There's 2 places I went to the one day. and I found it a bit sad that I was doing that, but it's from a tourist perspective. You pay money, it helps the community. I know some people call it poverty porn, where you go see the bad things, but I was just like,
yeah.
So I went to this place. There's a church where a massacre had happened, and the one lady actually explained how her father had been buried alive by their neighbor, and there's stains on the wall or markings on the wall where they're like, this is where kids' heads were being bashed. Like, vivid detail. This woman was close to tears. I hadn't asked, but I was the only person there, and I thought, I don't know, maybe felt compelled to share. But it's those things where I go from, I think after like the second town, I was just like, okay,
I'm cool now.
I'm
alright.
I'm
Like,
done. I'm okay.
I guess that stuff is emotionally heavy, eh?
Oh, it's taxing. Like, I won't lie to you. Like, I slept on it. Like, because then I understood the depths of human evil. I did not live the experience, but there's somebody who's lived the experience.
Sounds like a poem. Depths of human evil.
Yeah, no, it's wow, those people who survived, and I mean, like, some of the people I interacted with, they'll tell you, no, I only came back like 5 years ago. I only came back like 10 years ago. I grew up in Uganda, or I grew up in Tanzania, or so it was heavy on the soul. I won't lie to you and say I left Rwanda and I was like normal. No, like, even in reflection, it is still heavy. Thinking about it now, I can see the images. I didn't take photos when I was in those places. I can see the images. I can see the bones. I can see the bullet holes. There was the one town I went to where we went underground of sorts, and it was just bones. And then I'm like, I don't think I'd ever seen a skull. I'm seeing hundreds of skulls. I'm seeing human bones. I'm seeing things that people lived through. So I was just like, afterwards, I was just like, human beings, I think I wrote it somewhere, we have the mind that took men or humanity to the moon. China last week launched a rocket that is going to Mars. We have understood how the solar system, or our solar system, works, that this is the best point in time between Earth and Mars. We are aligned at this angle, or this is the closest we'll be as we rotate around the sun. This is the best time to send a rocket to take 7 months to land. We have gone that far, we've advanced that far, but we also have the depths of such cruelty and such evil, because we are different, because my shade of skin is different, or my language is different, or because I don't understand you, I deem you less than me. So that evil, I'm just like, human beings, we have such a wide spectrum, be it of creativity, be it of actions. So in those moments, I was just like, my goodness, this is heavy.
I can only imagine. And also the narrative. It's not, I don't know. So some people have this narrative. I remember once I was in London, and I was on a boat with some Americans, and then they had they're like, where are you from? I said, I'm from South Africa. They forgot the South, and they just said Africa. I'm like, so where do you live? Do you live where the lions? I kid you not, this is where the lions. I'm like, yeah, because I have them as my pets. And then also sometimes they have this narrative that say, I think that we're savages and that we're the only people capable of cruelty. However, 2008 I went to Auschwitz, the concentration camps. That was also heavy. You just walk into the those camps and the showers and the ovens, and you know something sinister to happen to you, and people to walk us through the entire journey. It was really taxing and really heavy. So now that your story with my story shows that doesn't matter which continent you're from, what the shade of your skin is, we are still capable of doing massively good and creative things, like the Egyptians building the pyramids, like Mansa Musa Keita the first, $400 billion richest man in history. And then we're still capable of the Rwandan genocide, what happened in Uganda. We're still capable of perpetuating horrors such as the Holocaust and the Crusades and the Spanish Inquisition, all those things. It's amazing, like what human beings are actually capable of.
Every continent, pick a continent, there's a horrific story, and on the other side of that horrific story, there's an amazing story of ingenuity. Be it South America, when the Spanish invaded and decimated the populations. If you think of North America, the Europeans arrived, decimated the
The Native Americans.
Native Americans. You go to Australia or Oceania or whatever,
yeah.
Oceania, whatever they call, Australia. People arrived. What did they do to the native Australians or the Aborigines? You go to Asia, different parts of Asia. Each one has got its own story.
Yeah.
So Africa, we're no different. So not even human beings in general, regardless of shade, skin color, race, gender, whatever.
All of us.
All of us.
No.
We have the capability of infinite genius and wisdom and infinite cruelty and the depths of. So in my travels, I was just like, after that, I was like, okay, I'm good. I'm good. Let me,
what is the biggest myth that the Western world, the world outside of people who live in Africa, even some Africans can be narrow-minded about Africa. So what is like one of the biggest myths about Africa that the world has about, the continent?
So I'll speak for myself.
Yeah, from your perspective.
From my perspective, based on my readings and the research I did before the trip, and even the conception I had before the trip, and I write about it. So, for example, it's dangerous. Africa is dangerous, and I already mentioned before that I was like, dark and dangerous, and some titles. And I know with my title, it kind of also adds, because I say through a black iris. But there's titles when people are writing books about the dark adventures of Africa, or going down the blood river of Congo, or weird titles that give the impression that you're going to a war zone, or you're going into a jungle, and there'll be gorillas and leopards, etc. And I think for me it was the impression or the narrative of not a lack of civilization, but we're giving the impression that we are not there, that we don't have the same amenities or the same industrialization. Yes, we're not first world countries, but we're not savages.
All of them, we're not. Africa is not a jungle, guys.
Yes,
it has jungles, but in itself is not a jungle.
It is not a jungle.
Yeah.
Yes, and it is also in essence, I think, summarized like travel into Africa is dangerous. Africa is 52 countries, and it actually doesn't matter which country you go to. Travel inherently has danger in it, regardless of continent or country. I can go into Europe today.
Yeah.
God knows, I could be kidnapped.
Yeah, and trafficked.
I could be stabbed in a country where, for example, they might not like my skin shade, or in an area where they don't like my skin shade. I have less chances of being stabbed in Congo or in Rwanda because I'm black.
Yeah.
So inherently, travel is dangerous regardless of the country. So for me, I think that was one of the things. I was fortunate. I'm not saying I was very fortunate, and I believe in God, and I prayed. I was very fortunate. I witnessed accidents. I was safe all the way from Egypt all the way down. No accidents. I made it back a few kgs heavier, but in one piece. So some stereotypes for me, like Sudan, going into Sudan, to be honest, based on what I'd seen and based on what to Google, thin people, starving people, war-torn, AK-47s, maybe cattle, deserts. Like, there was no nice images, even when I Googled. And I was humbled when I actually got into Sudan and found myself in a taxi, or we call it a taxi here, or minibus, cruising at 142 k's an hour on one of the most beautiful highways I'd ever seen. From, was it Juba? I forgot the name. It was Lake Aswan, but we were going to another town, and it took us 4 hours. This thing was air-conned, life was beautiful, and would stop every hour or so on the side of the road, where there'll be like a little thatch roof, as what you'd expect, a thatch roof with cauldrons of water and nobody in sight. And the driver would be like, okay, everybody just jump out, grab a cup full of water and drink. That's hospitality in the middle of nowhere. Nowhere. But it is so hot, they know that, guys, there's people traveling on this road. Put buckets of water, people come through and drink. Get into the cities. I'm out here connecting on Wi-Fi. I'm sleeping in nice hotels or nice hostels. Fine, there were some places where I'm just like, but you find the places. If you're looking for something bad, you will find it. If you're looking for something good, you will find it. I went and I found all those things, but it did not fit the image that I'd had in my head. And this actually started in Egypt when I was at the embassy, Sudan embassy, applying for a visa. I was one of two people who was not Sudanese. And I speak just based on knowing that everyone also speaking Arabic. Myself and this Japanese, I think she's Japanese, were applying for visas to enter. And as I sat there, some kids, 2 boys came. One was Mohammed, I think it's Mohammed. He came and asked me to help him fill, in broken English, to fill in his form to apply to go to a university in Ukraine to go study petrochemical engineering. My mind was blown. My mind was blown out of the water. I'm like, what? Because now even the concept, I'm trying to explain to him, like, okay, this is your address. Because so I'm writing the stuff in English for him.
Yeah.
As he's explaining, okay. So I'm like, okay, this is your name. He's like, okay, cool. And I'm like, came to a section. I felt rotten in hindsight. There's a section I had to fill address.
Yeah.
But in my head, the picture I had was of desert.
Yeah.
I'm like, but you're in the desert. How are you guys going to have an address in the desert? And I feel rotten, and it's stereotypical, stupid of me. But I'm there and I'm like, but how? But how's your father going to pay? These are conversations I'm having. How's your father going to pay for your fees? Like, how many cows does he have to sell? Because I'm not even thinking that Sudan has industries or commerce.
So in that moment, you found yourself being narrow-minded and
very
semi-bigoted.
Very. No. I was bigoted.
You're bigoted. You're prejudiced all at once.
Based on what I knew and what I honestly been conditioned.
Based on limited information.
Based on my limited information, I was just like, okay, cool.
Yeah, guys, let's cancel him because he was he was bigoted. Let's cancel him because of that. Yeah.
So now this kid is explaining, no, his brother is already there, and his father was the scholarship where his father was going to pay. Eventually, I help him complete his form. I get my visa. I land in Sudan, or arrive in Sudan, and we're driving around. Fine. I mean, every country has its issues, but like the city was like every other city. Like I'm on highways. I'm driving past government buildings, all fancy. Like I'm like, this is not what I expected. Definitely not what I expected. Booking for buses legitimately with tickets, everything, seat number, sign. I'm just like, what? I don't even do this in my own country. Like, it's just kind of like first come, first serve. These guys are like, nope, you book in advance. And, on the buses, you're being fed. You're being given water and juice and the buses are fancy and luxurious. And then I'm like, what is going on here? This is not the image that I had. And in that experience, it was like about a week, my image or stereotype or whatever I had based on my limited understanding was shattered. It was broken to say, oh, wow. Up until you live or the experience and get into it, you actually don't know. Unless I'm watching a YouTube video, somebody saying, cool, I've landed in Ethiopia and Addis Ababa, this is Addis Ababa. Then I'll believe it. But if it's just pure writing,
so that goes back to early on in the conversation. We were talking about experience. We were talking like you can have all the book knowledge in the world, but unless you've been to the places and lived the places. So it sounds like the only way that you're able to overcome your predisposition to being bigoted and biased and not being sure of what's been going on, you took the time and traveled so you can learn to understand other people's worlds, understand where they're coming from and how they're feeling. And so it was more of like a growing experience for you.
It was. I won't lie. And unfortunately, I was not prepared for the return. I was not mentally prepared for the trip itself even. Within the first week, I didn't cry, but I was close to buying a ticket to come back home. Because I was just like, I'm lonely, this is very different. Nobody speaks English. But then the flip side of the coin is like, yeah, they don't have to speak English. This is their country. They speak Arabic. You need to find a way to.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So it was a learning trip. The whole way, I've already spoken about how the whole planning, how I was so ingrained with my spreadsheet, and these people like, you will miss out on life. So it was a whole journey of reflection, posts, especially writing the book. I think that's where even some of the lessons came to me, was in writing the book and actually reflecting on the trip to say, actually, this is how you behaved, in the future. How are you going to be different when you travel to another country? How do you experience it? Not that I'm saying I understood, because I viewed it as, if I can compare it to a cake, every country is a cake. Living there would mean, I'm experiencing the whole cake. I'm eating the whole cake. I've lived there. I've been there for 2 years. Because then 2 years is more than enough time for you to get your hands in. Socially, you're in there, the friends, the politics, the economy. You know the place.
100%.
Literally, I was there for most countries, like a week here, 10 days there. I was getting a very thin slice of the cake. Some were very bitter slices. Some were very amazing slices. But there's still a slice of cake. And I've got that experience. I cannot judge the whole country based on it, but I've just got a bit better compared to somebody who didn't have the cake but was being told, oh, it tastes like this, it tastes like that, it's got these ingredients. I'm like, but I have not tasted it. So I got my thin slice of cake. I'm like, okay, I feel I'm more informed than I was before.
That's good. That's amazing. So like, well, based on that, where in the world, if you could pick a country,
Yeah.
just say, okay, Alec, you have to relocate and you have to stay there for the rest of all existence, which is a country that you would go to and live within the African context?
Kenya.
Kenya.
Yes.
Why Kenya?
One is by the equator. Not the whole country is by the equator, but the weather is not as because it's by the equator. I think the winters are not as harsh, and the sunshine. I love sunshine, so. And I think even from an economic perspective, I'm not saying it's amongst the best, but it's not amongst the more destabilized economies. I've got friends there who I consider family, lots of them. So I think from an integration into society, the people.
They speak Swahili there, right?
Yes. Swahili, and I forgot the other one. Nolinkala is DRC. Yeah, so I'll choose Kenya because our friends, the weather. I like the people, and I've been there a couple of times. I don't know my way around, but I feel like I would be more comfortable there than all the other places I've been to. And also the language, they do speak the colonial English, and they have Swahili. So I'd prefer Kenya out of all.
They don't have cancel culture.
No, everyone's got cancel culture.
I'm just kidding. Yeah, because this is one of the more economically stable countries on the continent.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
And I heard they're beautiful people.
Yes, no, they're amazing people.
Physically beautiful people, I heard.
Yes, all people are beautiful.
You see what I did there?
All people are beautiful.
All people are beautiful. Oh, yeah.
No, I mean,
my mom said that. This is what my mom said. She says because they're at the equator, the women there, their hair is of a different texture because they're constantly sweating, and it allows them to have like this clear skin. I've never been there. I should make a point to go there.
Even 4 days, 5 days.
4 days, 5 days. Yeah.
So you can do the whole Masai Mara. Yeah, fine, it's great. But even just going into the city, into Nairobi, or going to Kisumu,
Nairobi,
or going to
Kenya.
Jinja.
That's yes.
There's other places. I haven't gone to all places,
Yeah.
but I mean, I've gone to this place called Maragoli. I went for a friend's wedding. It's all very different, and you meet different people, and I'm just like, and thousands of kilometers away, and still surprised by human kindness. That's the part that never ceases to amaze me. Where you get to a place and you have zero expectation and of kindness because I'm a stranger.
Yeah.
And in some parts where I've come from, it's like, don't deal with strangers. Like somebody knocks at your door, they shouldn't be knocking at your door. They should be at the gate.
First, what are you doing?
Yeah, but then you meet people who are like, okay, cool, come in. Don't stay at a hotel. Stay with us. We'll take care of you. Etc. I'm just like, what?
Oh wow.
Yeah. Or hey, dude. So for example, in Sudan, I think that's also what broke my stereotype.
Yeah.
After arriving in Sudan, I don't know if it still happens today, but back then you get a visa to enter.
Yeah.
But that's not enough. Once you enter the country, you need to go register with the authorities, the police. So you go with your passport and show them the visa, and you pay. So you've paid for the visa, but you pay money to the police to give you another stamp that says you're registered, you've confirmed you've arrived. When you leave, they check for that visa and that stamp. If that stamp is not there, you get fined. So now when I arrived, I forgot the name of the town. In this town, we're just like, okay guys, I'm looking for the police. I know I showed the passport. They eventually take me to the police station. The guy's like, no, we don't do that here anymore. You can go do it in the capital because you have to do it in like 2 or 3 days of arriving. But the guy's like, no, it's fine. Cool. Where are you going? I'm like, no, I'm going to find a place to stay. But this is all in broken English, like bad broken English. He was like, stop. Calls his wife in the police station. I think it was the police station because it was definitely like an office. She brought food. Me, him, the guy who was in charge, and the tuk-tuk driver who had brought me to the police station. I think his kid as well. We ate. This guy's like, eat now, because I don't know when you're going to eat. I'm just like, I won't say no, but this is so weird. Like, I've never experienced, you don't know me from anything. Like, I'm literally 10,000 kilometers away from home. I don't even look like you. This man was just like, nah, start eating here, because I don't know when you're going to eat. He was that worried about me. I'm like, so
wow.
Like for me, it's those little things, those acts of kindness. I'm just like, I have no idea what's going on. I can't refuse this.
Yeah.
I am going to eat.
Yeah.
But this
I'll
is
take that instead of being robbed, eh?
Yeah. So so for me, those little things. I'm just like, you can find human kindness even if you're not looking for it. Yeah. So it's those things that surprise me about some of these countries, especially Sudan.
Yeah, 100%. And so, what do you think about the Africans fighting each other instead of coming together?
It's a tough ask to.
Because I'm not too well read on this, but I've seen it where African people will fight each other, they'll bring each other down, sort of building each other up, and then just attack each other instead of building each other up. What do you think about that? Sometimes there's the lack of cohesiveness between us as a continent, and sometimes us as within our cultures, because as a South African, we have been guilty of xenophobic attacks in the past decade and a half. It definitely has happened. I do see some like discrimination. So what is your take on just generally the division between Africans?
So first and foremost, I'm anti-xenophobia or any form of bigotry or hate against each other or discrimination. And I mean, now that I've experienced xenophobia, I've experienced stereotypes or racial profiling. And I've adjusted, for example, my language. So, for example, learned how to say hello, how are you in the different languages to blend in so that it's not obvious that I'm not from here. So to answer your question, it's complicated. What do I think? I think it's one, it's wrong. We shouldn't, but it's inevitable. We're human beings. We're always going to have conflict. But I think one would rather have conflict over something else other than our differences, because I come from a different country. And I know some people might argue, say, no, you guys can't always be talking about colonialism. But if we take a few steps back, a few years, if decades, if not centuries back, these borders did not exist. Fine, we fought. It's not like to say we were not fighting before the borders arrived. As tribes or whatever we were back then, I'm sure we fought. Be it for land, for women, for power, whatever. But the splitting of the continent into 52 or whatever, how many odd countries, and then the provinces did not help the situation and exacerbated the situation, for example, in the Burundis and the Rwandas. It exacerbated the situation where one tribe, for example, is preferred over another by the colonial power, and the colonial power is showing favoritism. So I think such issues exacerbated and further ignited things. So, for example, I take a step back. If you look to your example around xenophobia, that might not be specific, the root cause might not be colonial issues. Then you might be like, okay, cool, there might be economic hardships, social issues that need to be addressed by that country first, to enable a situation where, regardless of where other people are coming from, the citizens of that country don't feel threatened. I think the root cause is not, with that one, might not be colonialism, but it's like, guys, we have social issues. Maybe actually it's apartheid. It might not be colonialism, but yet apartheid. Maybe deal with those issues. Given the what's that word I'm looking for? The domino effects. Even though there's independence or post 1994, we're saying okay, let's come together, etc. But you're still living in the effects, and it's not going to change anytime soon. If you think about America, they banned slavery years ago, but people of color, especially black people, still being discriminated, still suffering. So the xenophobia that we're experiencing now, it's not going to change in a few years. It's going to take a long time, because people still are dealing with issues from back then, and now I'm like, okay, cool, we just come from that. Now we have foreigners coming in. It's like, I'm not saying it's a lot, but it is life, and people have to deal. So what I think we have a long way to go. It is not going to be an easy journey. And I think to even try to go forward, one has to address the past and be serious about addressing the past. And that's not even speaking to the whole continent to say, hey, all 52 countries, let's get together. A bit difficult. Unfortunately, we're not the European Union, who have had years of practice of democracy, of politics, of economics, and all of this heritage that they have to say, okay, right, you need to meet these criteria to join the EU. If you join the EU, there's these benefits, etc., 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 etc. And that general acceptance that they might have for each other as the European Union or European nations, which we are yet to have for our fellow African brothers.
Yeah.
So internally, maybe country by country, we first need to resolve our issues before then we're like, okay, African Union, let's solidify and, you know, let's go take on the world as a, you know, as a union or as a continent. So what I think we have a long way to go. It's not pretty. It's not going to stop anytime soon. It's going to be difficult. I think it's actually a very difficult task to even try pinpoint, because every scuffle or fight or event is that there's different cause. Be it xenophobic attacks in South Africa, be it clashes in Sudan or South Sudan. There's a different cause for each. So it's very, but it's not unique to us. Go to Syria, for example. I mean, there are places, they're having their issues. Yeah. If you go to China and Hong Kong, Hong Kong right now is having these issues. You know, they want freedom or, you know, major independence from China. China's like, hey, Taiwan, keep it here. Taiwan also has the same thing. Taiwan and China. So, and then you've got India and China. They're having their skirmishes over their borders, and even internally in India, they have their
entire case system.
Yes.
I was told
so it's very difficult. And I think as Africans, I know it's even worse for us. I know, because we not all, and I don't want to generalize, but obviously there's always that mentality that some people like, yes, all Africa power, all Africa, and some people like, nah, fam, if it's from Europe, it's better, or if it's white, it's better. You know, that mentality that like only white people can do it better, only Europeans can do it better. So I feel we have a long way, even as Africans, from a mindset shift perspective before we begin to understand or begin to coalesce together.
Yeah, but regardless of that, you're still very, very, very proud to be African.
Very, very. I love it. I wouldn't swap it.
Why are you exceptionally proud to be African?
Because I know no other.
No other.
I know no other, and I don't wish to be another. I've never wished to not be African. Yes, in my younger days, I might have wished to have a different skin shade, maybe to be a bit lighter because of all the teasing and the jokes when I was a teenager.
So you can stop making people feel sleepy.
So it's I've never wanted to be non-African. I like my people. I like the continent. We are entrepreneurial. I'm not saying, and by saying this does not preclude the other continents or the other races, genders, etc. But you know, when we strive to do better or to make a living, and I know there's in times of desperation, there's a sense of innovation, and I see it a lot in our African members, often in Zim or in Nigeria, where people are trying to make a living. Yes, some are scams, but people are trying to survive via their own way. New technology comes through from, for example, Uber comes through. Hey, Africans, we find a way to make money off that Uber. All of a sudden now I've got 5 cars, I'm renting them out, even though I'm registered by Uber as the only driver, but I'm renting out to 5 other people, etc., making money. So I love, and that's just one aspect. Creativity, for example, if you read the literature, and I know people like the Chinua Achebes, the Chimamandas, and I'm reading, I've forgotten the name, I think it's Adebayo something. There's all this creativity, literature. There's so much more we can do. If I think in Zimbabwe, Strive Masiwa, telecom giant, created Econet.
We have Aliko Dangote, we've got Petrus Mutsipe, we've got the Oppenheimers.
You have people who have tried and said, regardless of what challenges I'm facing, I can make something happen. Definitely. And they're competing on the world stage. If you think of sport, and I know in Zim, when we were growing up, for example, in swimming, there's a lady called Kirsty Coventry. made it all the way to the Olympics and she won. You had the Byron, I think it was Byron and Wayne Black brothers from a tennis perspective. You had Henry Olonga from a cricket perspective with his dreadlocks, like the first black, him and Mpumelelo Mbangwa. Mpumelelo now commentates here for Supersport. I think Henry Olonga is in either Australia and the UK. But like those were people we looked up to be like, yo, they're competing against New Zealand, against Australia. Andy Flower, I remember him making like a score of 232 runs in cricket. Like, as a kid growing up and seeing this, I never wanted to be New Zealand. I never wanted, like when I was watching my team, and then I'm like, I love Zimbabwe. I never even thought of Africa. I'm just like, wow, this is us. We are fine. Would lose like 10 matches in a row, but I'm just like,
we're still competing.
Competing, and even soccer, fine. I think the first time I watched, and I'm just going around like all the industries. Like I think sport. First time I watched, I think I was in boarding school. I went to boarding school, I was like 10. I think that was like second boarding school I went to, and their TV, and they're showing some Premiership matches, seeing Manchester United. I saw it at the top, and that's why I started supporting it. But before that, been watching local sports. In Zim back then, we had teams called Highlanders, we had Dynamos, and then they have these huge derbies. I came from a town called Zhishavani, but formerly known as Shabani, and the one year they won the championship, which was totally unheard of.
Yeah,
it's like no, not playing down in teams. It's like a team from Rustenburg. Like they're all known just for mining, coming and winning the PSL.
Yeah.
So for me, I'm like you see these things, I'm like, you can make it. Like it was like the world was, as be it a black child in African does, like this is not even thinking of outside. Oh, America, this like just within the continent, and then you'd find our teams, you'd win, right, and then you'd go play in our version of the Champions League, playing against teams from Ghana, or there's a team called ASEC Mimosas or TP Mazembe, and then I'm just like, my goodness, we're playing against the team from Congo, playing against the team from Ghana, and then I'm just like, the world is amazing. So there is lots to be proud of about being African. I don't think there's one thing that you can say that will say this defines me as being African. Yes, I was born in Africa. One can say Africa lives within me. And I could say, yes, I am as black, as night, as as you'd expect of when people say Africa, they don't think of white Africans. They most likely see me and they're like, Africa.
These white blood cells are black.
Yes. So there's a lot that goes across the different industry, across love, across religion, across faith, about what it means to be African. And I'm proud of it, and I'm happy to be African. I will not lie to you, I've never thought of any other. Yes, I might have thought about moving to a different country, but not permanently. No. Or outside of Africa, not permanent. Nah. So yes, to me, there's a lot. I don't think I can encapsulate to say this is what it means to be African, or say these are the two reasons I love being an African.
Definitely. As Thabo Mbeki said, I am an African.
I think that statement should be more than enough.
Yeah, it's enough. I am an
African.
Yeah, that's 100%. And as rich as Jeff Bezos is, actually look at making a worth of $159 billion, recently made $13 billion in a day. What have you done with your life? I looked at that and it was amazing. And then I started researching the richest people in history. He's not even number one. Nor is he number two. He's not even in the top 10. The richest person to have ever lived was a guy called Mansa Musa the First from Mali, with a net worth of $400 billion. And when I hear stories of that, I'm like, why didn't I hear of this earlier? Because if the richest person to have ever lived comes from Africa, then clearly we are capable of great things. And it's these African stories that need to come to the forefront to say that we're not a jungle, we are not savages. We can be capable of being savages, but inherently we are not savages. We are smart and we're capable of speaking multiple languages and creating great feats. And so what you've done is commendable. Once COVID ends, I'll embark on going throughout Africa.
They say history is written by the winner.
Oh yeah.
And I think someone once said about the story about the story of the hunt is written by the lion. Between a lion and a gazelle. The story of the hunt is written by the lion. But the lion is never by the gazelle.
Yeah.
So, and I think point in case, I think Senegal opened up a museum last year, and they have petitioned that all their relics, or rotten term relics, that were taken or given, whatever the word, to foreign countries be returned. And I went to Europe 2 years ago, and I think I went to France. I went to France. I forgot, I can't pronounce the name of this museum, but it's like a world museum. I put it in quotes. I think Jacques Chirac, the former president, might have opened it up, or it was in his honor. But it has sections to say Africa history, American history. I can't remember how many euros I paid. I didn't finish the tour because I was so angry with the African section. Because I'm walking through this section, and I remember I was taking notes, I'm taking pictures, and it was literally A, B, C, D, like though it was alphabetical to a certain extent. Benin had kings, those thrones. This place had thrones. It had our stuff, and I say our as an African. Because it included things for almost every African culture, or every African country, as you know, as the places are now known. And for me, I've been to museums in my own country. I've been to museums here. I haven't seen such relics. Neither do I know that story about kings and queens in half the countries. I had to go to France. I just happened to be in France and pick up a thing, like, oh, there's this museum. Okay, cool. It says come to this museum. I go in, I'm like, whoa, all right. Oh, what? Okay, this is what we did. Oh, wow. Wait, there's a lot of stuff here. Fine, one could argue it was given. But we know a lot of it was looted.
Yeah.
We know a lot of it was looted, from the diamonds that the queen has, etc., etc. That stuff is ours. And yes, 10 years from now, you can come back and say cancel culture.
You will be cancelled.
That's one I'll stand by. That stuff needs to come back home
to Africa,
so that our people, our children, my children, grandchildren, your children, our relatives, our people know that we were capable in the past of amazing things, and our history is not forgotten. As much as the history is written by the winner, and trust me, the books that I read for history did not tell me any of this, and I read a lot of African history. That history that we learned about is now our fight for independence. It didn't tell me that we had kings. Besides, we know about Shaka. But even the narrative that's given about Shaka
is twisted.
Yes, Mzilikazi and all these other people. I'm like, guys, there's more to the kings that we hear about than Shaka. I'm like, the whole Western Africa had its own world. Kings and kingdoms. You spoke about, I've forgotten his name,
Mansa Musa,
and then you have Timbuktu, you have these libraries, you have, fine, yes, we all know about the pyramids in Giza, but then Alexandria, I think there's a huge library in Alexandria. Each and every single place in Africa has something special about it. But unless you go either to some museum in New York, or someplace in London, or someplace in France, or you just happen to be somewhere in Sweden, and they're like, oh, there's an African section here, and you're like, oh my goodness, what? My people did this? I never saw this in any textbook. And I can tell you for a fact, in all the textbooks that I read for history, I never saw half the stuff that I saw when I went to that museum in France.
So is that why so this is in France, eh? So
this is in France. There's a museum in France where they have so much African artifacts. I was just like...
So they stole African artifacts?
They acquired. So I'm going to use the word acquired, because that will cover stealing, looting, being given, exchange, whatever form you want to use, whatever word you want to use can be covered under acquired.
Okay. Retract that statement. It was acquired. The means of acquisition, we don't know.
Yes. I cannot speak to the means, I just know it was acquired. But it would be nice if those things were returned, so that in schools, you'd be like, right, we're going to the museum, and kids know that as Africans we're capable of not just these new modern technological things, but even in the past, our people were already striving for greatness.
Jeez, like that's amazing. So I want to go off and ask you about something that's been on my mind. I've written 2 books. I'm on the 3rd one, and this is one of the more introspective ones. It's titled The Father of Man. It's just called titled Father of Man. The premise of it is, we've got, as an adult, there's a saying that child is the father of man, which indicates that you are capable, what you are struggling with now may have stemmed from your early childhood. For example, if you've got self-confidence issues, something may happen to you when you were a child. So in order for you to sort of more be free now as an adult, revisit what happened to you as a child. But then building on that, the recent gender-based violence, femicide, and all these things that are happening, the hashtags men are trash, hashtag me too, hashtag you can't do better. I don't even know all the different hashtags out there. They're highlighting the problem that men can't do better. So I want to explore what are the solutions to it, because I believe what you focus on is what you move towards. If you're focusing on men being trash, you're perpetuating that narrative. So I want to get from your perspective, what can men do to become better men from your perspective? What can we do better, in essence?
Everything.
Or love? Jeez, bro. Narrow it down. No.
I don't have a word similar to nonke. Whatever Zulu or Xhosa word that says everything.
Yeah.
That one.
Yonkinto.
Yonkinto.
There we go.
Yes, let's go with that.
Yeah.
But underneath Yonkinto, there's so for example, I've seen two incidents have happened. One, I saw a billboard poster, or those posters in on a street lamp in Santon.
Yeah.
I think it's the Gillette advert that speaks to, I think back then, it was like Gillette, the best a man can get, or something like that. They used to have this tagline.
Yeah.
But it was all about a man.
Yeah.
And I think now, if memory serves, I'll drive past and check it out. It speaks to about teaching men to be better. And to treat women. So actually, I'll find the wording and I'll send you a picture. It's about raise families, father or mother, whoever, the individual who's raising a child, a male child, to raise them better. The onus is not on the woman or the other gender. The onus is on you who's raising this male child. Raise them right, raise them to treat women right, raise them to treat people right. I'm not saying that it should start there. I think you can teach old horses new tricks. I don't think we can use that as an excuse. But given the spectrum of life and ages, there's a chance with this incoming generation, with our generation, with our kids, to teach them right, to treat people right. Alex, I think her name is Alex Ocasio-Cortez, AOC, as she's known in the US, some senator. I think she's a senator. She was involved, a fellow senator swore at her, or allegedly swore at her. So he says he didn't say those words. There was a witness who says he said those words. In essence, he called a very crude word for a female dog. And she gave an impassioned speech.
Yes.
And she had all the right to, where she's like, because this man in his defense is like, no, I've never said those words. I'm a family man. Whatever was interpreted, I apologize. However you interpret it, I apologize. I've been married for 40 years, 45 years. I have 2 daughters. I would never treat women like this. And just like, I am someone's daughter. I'm 2 years younger than your youngest daughter.
100%, yeah.
My father was not around to hear the way that you treated me. This wasn't even a fight. Those are just his verbal words against her. Were so violent and so crude. And there's a man who stands in power and influence. And she chewed him out to say, you know what, your speech means nothing. Just because you're saying you're married or you have 2 daughters does not make you a better man.
True.
It does not make you a better man just because your whole household is full of females. No, your actions have betrayed you. Your words have betrayed you. So to answer your question, I feel we can do so much more. So much more. Admitting our wrongs as men, our biases. There's even a picture that I just saw now. Multiple pictures. In essence, it was photographs, and the theme was remove the men in the photographs. So they show the photograph before and the photograph after. They show the Parliament of UK. I think it's called the House of Commons. Normally how it sits, and then they just removed all the men. There was like 20 women left. The previous photo, I think, was close to 200 people. I don't know. And then they went to the various powerful rooms, like in the US Senate. So, and it was talking about, and what the person was saying is, don't let them lie to you and say we are equal or gender is equal or we've reached 50%. When you look at it, I think there's a picture of the EU Union where they showed European Union, where they showed Angela Merkel alone, surrounded. In the initial picture, there's like 10 men around her. Final picture, when they removed every man, she's the only woman standing. So that was to show that even as men, be it in work or professional lives, we actually need to be very cognizant. So there's many aspects from how we treat women professionally, to see them as equals, and give them equal opportunity, and not to discriminate. We have these issues of sexual, what's this word? What's the word?
What, sexual assault?
Yeah, not assault. Sexual assault, or when you make advances, unwanted sexual advances at women at work, or in profession.
Harassment.
Thank you. At work, especially, I'm just like, guys, keep it professional.
Yeah.
Leave that stuff. We're here to
I
work.
didn't actually think that actually happened. One place I worked, there was a case of that actually happening. I'm like, what? With this male, just interacting with him, I knew something was really shit. Something was just a bit off, you know what I mean? But then, like, when the case happened, I'm like, oh no, this is what happened, was a case of sexual harassment. I'm like, wow, this thing actually happens. It actually happens. I'm like, wow, because I was blinded by it, and when that happened, my eyes were open.
Well, guys, we're likely not to see this. Even our comments. I mean, I have a colleague worked with somebody. She told me examples where people would say comments like, you look so nice in the kitchen. You know, those
nice in the kitchen.
So things nice like in the that. Yeah, things like that where you're just like, guys, you need to change your mindset. And I mean, that's even before we get to the gender-based violence, where I'm just like, yes, men are trash. I physically assaulting women, sexually assaulting women. We have a long way to go, and I don't even know where to start to say, guys, like, yini, what, yini, like, why?
Why are we are?
Like, you'd rather take out the anger on a woman, but when another daughter comes into the room, you're like, no,
I'm fine.
I'm good. No, like, we have issues as men, especially when it comes to the gender-based violence, and the fact that some men don't even see it as, like, when you look at some of these threads on Twitter, where people are like, I was just disciplining her, or, you know, just a slap here and there. I'm like, whoa.
Just disciplining her.
Block, mute, cancel.
That's what people need to be cancelled right there.
No. So some people whose behavior and might not be their fault. That's how they were raised, or they grew up in a household where the father beat the mother, and that's how.
And they think that's something that's normal.
That's normal. Yes, and maybe them. Unfortunately, also. It's society, where society maybe did not even play a strong role to say you do not treat women like this. In fact, you don't treat other people like this.
Yeah.
Treat women right. It's sad. So we need to do better. A lot better. Be it from raising awareness, holding each other accountable in private and in public. So yes, we might do the public speech, but I know on the side that how this guy does this to your girlfriend, I need to hold him accountable. Like, my guy, this is nonsense. You need to stop it. We need to have environments where when women should be able to walk past us without feeling, hey, these guys are going to catcall, or they're going to whistle, or they're going to ogle, or something nasty could happen.
I think we should drop the mindset of saying, oh, look at how she's dressed, so she's calling, she's asking for it.
That nonsense. You know, that nonsense way.
There's nothing wrong with people looking good, but doesn't mean that she needs to be accosted and just made to feel uncomfortable, you know?
No, I agree. We have a lot of work to do, and I think we need to hold each other accountable to serious levels. And I think there's also this whole thing, we perpetuate this whole, I'm a man, or yindod, you know, a guy acts like this, you know, men don't cry, or women's places in the kitchen, you know, those things that are very stereotypical. They're perpetuated.
I don't know where that came from. Why is a woman's place in the kitchen? Growing up, I was told you wash the dishes, you clean here, you do this, you wash the clothes, and you cook for yourself because your culinary skills are not up there. And I just didn't decide to get to the point where I could cook for the entire family, but I could do all those things for myself. And for me, it wasn't a thing of this is exactly where a woman's place is, and that's where it stops.
I agree. I think even with, I know, yes, there's differences in our physical nature.
Yeah.
Men have testosterone, what makes me, you know, it gives you extra boost or whatever it is. Still not an excuse. One could say with great power comes great responsibility.
Yeah.
Yes, so I still believe we're 50-50.
Yeah.
We should, not we are, I know we're not. We should strive for 50-50. We should understand.
We're different. I think we're different. I think that you should be. We're different. It doesn't mean just because you're different doesn't make you better or worse. It means you're different.
I agree, but we have a lot of work. We should hold each other accountable, and we should stop perpetuating some of the stereotypes. Because in the aspect of trying to live up to stereotypes, men are being trash, and even outside of these stereotypes, we are being trash. But we need to go beyond men are trash. Yes, men are trash.
What can we do about it?
What can we do about it? Cool. Hold you accountable. What am I guy? We don't behave this way. Hey, this whistling, unwanted advances to women, being discriminatory at work because she's a woman, or being discriminatory towards your partner or your wife or your girlfriend because she's female, or setting expectations like, no, you work in the kitchen, or I take care of this. I understand the chivalry and there's all of that, but I think some of these things perpetuate the misbalance between the genders, if I can use that word. So I think as men, yes, I will say it, we are trash. Our behavior is trash, or maybe if that's correct, our behavior, actions, words, whatever, has been trash. There are some good men out there, but in the overall, you might be good as an individual, but if you're not holding as a collective, we have a lot to answer for. And if I'm not holding my brother accountable, I'm like, hey, you do not do that. You do not beat your wife. You do not hit your girlfriend, and you don't speak to her that way. Speak to her the way you would want to be spoken to. Let's sit down, let's have a conversation, let's work it out. There's no need for gender-based violence, whether it's provoked or unprovoked, called for or uncalled for.
It talks to us being mature, you know. There's, you know, like when my mom told me you must always be a gentleman and treat women right. I don't always get it right, but it's something that I do strive for. And then while Zuma was still the South African president, she used to always sing along to the song. One of the songs he used to sing, "Oh Yinde Lendlela Esihambayo," which means this is a long road that we're traveling, a very long road that we're traveling. So I think that applies to us. All right, cool. So as we go towards the end, because we've been here for 2 hours now, man. 2 hours. I told you. I told you.
That's a long time.
It's not necessarily a long time. For me, it's not a long time. Okay, so I'm going to go into a speed round.
Oh, okay, cool.
We're going to go to a speed round, and you just talk around the topic. I'll say a word, you talk around the topic, all right? Cool. Rafael Nadal.
Tennis, left hand, bicep, 19-year-old, same age as me, great athleticism, great character. Love the fact that he has, an academy, and he gives, and I think he's an all-around good guy. And, yeah.
My favorite tennis player. The greatest of all time. I don't care what anyone else says. You Federer fans, Djokovic fans, Pete Sampras fans, I don't care. Rafael Nadal is the GOAT.
My mother's not going to be happy when she hears this.
Is it? She's your mother.
No, she loves Federer.
She loves Federer. No, Federer's a class actor.
Those are my words. He's classy, like the way.
Yeah.
But Nadal, man, there's just
that fire there. I found myself at the gym. What are you doing? I just watched a Nadal match. Leave me alone. Cool. Like, hopefully after COVID, I can get them to see them play. I didn't get to see them play in Cape Town, unfortunately. I was so sad.
I tried to book tickets.
Yeah, and then it was sold out. Like, I'm like,
I was online and 15 minutes before, and as soon as it said open, I clicked, and then it said booked.
Sold out.
I'm like, that's not possible. Then I went to Checkers. And there was a line of 6 people, and the lady's like, yeah, my guy, people were buying tickets for buses. And she's like, yeah, no, there's other people already like, this morning, and it was fully booked. I was willing to pay 5,000 Rand or 10,000 for like those weird VIP things.
Yeah.
I still couldn't get.
No, I could get just like. And then what some people did, they went and they bought tickets and tried to resell them at an inflated price. I'm like,
I don't buy tickets off the black market. I'm scared that you buy a ticket, you get to the venue, and it's not an original ticket, I will die. I will die.
No, like Nadal, if you're listening out there, I'm definitely going to see you play. All right.
One day, I'll come to Europe to watch you.
Yeah, I'll come to your house. Come to your academy.
To Mallorca.
Mallorca, definitely. He's got an academy there. I see him on Instagram. Great guy. My favorite match that I watched him play was that Wimbledon final.
Yes.
In 2008.
Yes. I remember where I was. I was a sub warden at Walker House.
Yeah.
During a National Arts Festival. And it was deep into the darkness.
Just like.
And I was watching there, and I'm like, yes, please sign in. Yes, I'm watching the game. Just sign in.
Yeah.
Please. That was amazing.
For me, I think when he won the Australian Open, when he made Federer cry. When the commentator was like, he is the world number one, he is the one, he's the only, he is Rafael Nadal. I was like, I'm going to be world number one in something before I die because of that. Rafael Nadal, we're done fanboying over you.
Yeah. Let's move on.
Listen, Lionel Messi.
Cristiano Ronaldo, competition, amazing left foot or right foot, ambidextrous. I know some would say GOAT. Love his beard. Love his beard. And I often think his story is quite phenomenal. His contract was signed on a
napkin. I think it was a
napkin.
Yeah.
And they took all his whole family from Argentina to España. So it's a remarkable story and longevity, all-around team player. I think there is talent, there's work ethic, there's hard work, and I think there's just a skill set. I know somebody once gave an example to say the ball seemingly sticks to his feet. Like if you look at not his passes, like when he's moving with the ball is not like 2 meters away and then
it's like 2
it's
millimeters
just
away.
there in front of him.
Yeah.
That's how we can maneuver around people because the ball is just next to him. I was just like, that's an amazing description. Whereas if you compare it to like Ronaldo in his younger day or Gareth Bale, then those explosive legs where kick the ball ahead of you, you run off the pitch. I know he did that too. I think there's some guy called Bartomeu from Barcelona. And he did it to Maicon from Inter Milan. Pushed the ball ahead and he outran them. He blitzed them. Whereas with Messi, there's finesse. And there's a picture now I just saw, I think Argentina versus Nigeria. There's 4 Nigerian men around him. The soccer match. And this guy still got the ball and is maneuvering his way around them. I was just like, yo. So yes,
definitely. Cristiano Ronaldo.
Hard work, physique, athleticism, dedication. There's talent. Amazing free kicks. I mean, statistically, not as great as Messi from a free kick perspective. But I think if there's commercial success, the highest paid Instagram influencer.
This guy makes more money. I think he makes more money as an Instagram influencer than he does as a football player. I
think during COVID, his posts have been quite pricey. And I mean, he's quite passionate. You see him crying when, especially when Portugal is playing. I took them to 2016 or 2018 Euro. Yeah, he's impressive. I'll not lie to you. I had a fanboy moment when I went to Real Madrid, the Bernabeu Stadium, when I went to Spain 2 years ago. And it was the day or the week of his move to Juventus or Turin. And so you go, like I've been to some stadiums. That was just mind-blowing. There's this digital wall or this wall that showed a map of the world, a huge wall. And it was plugged into the social media feed. And they were picking up the tags for Ronaldo, Real Madrid. And the activity was concentrated on Juventus. And it was purely because of Ronaldo. Like the whole thing was just lighting up. And the tags were purely around Ronaldo. I was just like, okay. All right.
It talks about like how powerful that guy is. Definitely. Who would you pick between the two? You're starting a team today. Who do you pick? Messi, Ronaldo? You're starting a team today called Chingapi United FC. You want to compete for whatever.
So is it either or who's the first person I'll pick?
Who's the first person that you pick? Everyone would want them on their team, but who do you start with?
I'll start with Messi.
You'll start with Messi.
Yes.
Okay. Why?
Statistically speaking,
across,
and I've seen depending on how you slice and dice it, yes, international wise, he might not lead his team to victory, but statistically
it's
speaking,
Argentina, chief.
I know. Statistically speaking, I would err on Messi's side. There's merit given that. But if I look domestic-wise, it's just ever played in Spain. That's not to say Spain is not a tough league. Ronaldo's proven himself across.
Come from Spain.
Yes, there was an article I saw that says, guys, the amazing players in all the other leagues, if you actually look at it, from David Silva or any of the other guys, they've had a stint in Spain. So I would start with Messi from a statistical perspective. I feel there is space because he can be the number 10 or be on the right hand side somewhere in midfield. Ronaldo can be up front or on the left. But I'll start with Messi and then I'll build the team around him.
Okay, fantastic. I would also go the same for Messi because he's able to control the game. He doesn't need to score for him to be like the man of the match. You know what I mean? That's just me. But I'm also definitely like Cristiano Ronaldo. Cool. Thanos.
Madman, just ethically speaking, is okay, let me not use the word mad, maybe that's not maybe psychologically correct. He's what's that word? There's a word for it, I'm looking for somebody who kills people. What do they call them? And when you murder like a lot of people, whatever you call it, like he's a killer.
He's a genocidal maniac.
Thank you, genocidal maniac. But flip side, utmost dedication and focus to attaining a goal, regardless the fact that it cost him a daughter. In fact, he cost him his whole team, and this man still went. So there is some, not narcissism, and there's another word, psychopath. He's a psychopath. Yes, yeah, I'd actually call him a psychopath.
Psychopath.
He's a psychopath. yeah. I mean, yes, he gets what he was trying to do. His justification, correct?
But the means
does not justify the ends. But then somebody argued to say, why didn't he just multiply the amount of resources in the universe?
Yeah, that go back to when we're talking about employees. I've got more money, and then I become more greedy. So that's,
it wouldn't solve the issue. But then again, was it his issue to solve? Could be another question. Yes, his plan. He had seen what he'd done to his planet. His planet used to thrive, and now these people were dead. The whole planet was dead.
Yeah.
So some could say he had reasons to do what he did, but all in all, yeah, genocidal maniac.
All right, cool. Batman versus Superman. And who, in essence, who would you rather be, Batman or would you be Superman?
Give me Batman. Got all that money. I can have different problems. I can buy my way to good health, longevity, and given that I've got this hobby of trying to solve crime. Okay, cool. Superman, not wealthy, yes, but with great power comes great responsibility. Now he's out here flying all over the world trying to save people, which is cool.
Yeah.
And all, but it's interesting. Yeah, no, I'd rather be Batman. I feel like Batman can live a life.
All right.
Yeah.
Right. So you want to be me? Great. All right, cool. We've talked about Africa. Jeff Bezos.
E-commerce giant, Amazon. Just gonna say words that come to my money. Divorcee. Amazing share price, amazing stocks. To be honest, I've never been motivated. I mean, out of all the billionaires or people, like from a success perspective, Jeff Bezos is like, okay, cool. I admire Amazon. That is one hell of a monolith in the operations and what they are doing, or what they're trying to do, and they're going to do. Amazing. He's built a solid team, because I don't think all ideas come from the top.
Yeah,
but he has found people who can find the people and put together the teams. Questionable work practices, especially now during COVID, as do almost all the other characters that we have gone through, from Ronaldo and his cases. So even him and his work practices and his personal. But actually, I don't have as much to say about Jeff Bezos compared to Messi.
All right, Elon Musk.
Yo. I put him and Kanye in the same bracket, given what's going on at the moment.
Same bracket, why?
Yeah, so, I mean, he has his moments.
Elon Musk, eh?
Yeah, he has his moments. So, first and foremost, I don't condone or, I have nothing against these people. They can let them live their lives, whatever. But, some of the things that he says, so for example, when he had those issues with the SEC, the Securities Exchange Commission, I think, it's like the JSC security for New York or whatever, where he said something, he tweeted things he's not supposed to tweet because they'll influence share price. And they told him, don't do such things, and he still goes and he does it. I'm just like, my guy, you're a CEO, like
you can't be doing. Hey,
with certain positions come.
But Trump is tweeting whatever he wants to tweet. So.
Guys, between us and the screen, there's so much damage
that can be done.
Yeah. However, very ingenious. I mean, you do have to understand this is a person. I mean, he did come, and I'm going to say, he worked his way from the ground. I mean, this guy came from a well-off family. But the fact that he switched industries, if memory is correct, he founded or was one of the people from, is it PayPal?
Yeah, he's part of PayPal mafia.
Yes, and I think he's also into some energy, and now he's into electric cars, and now he's got that whole thing that's going to space, delivering payloads into space. I'm just like, my guy, this man, and then he's got the Hyperloop thing.
Yeah.
This man is literally like,
I honestly think he's trying to get back home to Mars. I think he's from Mars. He wants to go back home.
He will get there, but he's pushing the boundaries. There's a certain unconventionalness to it, because I don't know all of business or all of history, but most people in businesses, they're kind of like in a certain area, like, I'm going to grow stocks. I'm going to have a company that has finances, and they kind of, him, it's like, okay, cool, there's payments. He did PayPal. Now he's doing He's done cars, electric vehicles, renewable. Now Tesla's got insurance.
Yeah.
Now space, like these are vastly different,
and
and he's being
just
successful at
at
it. I'm not saying there's no other people aren't, but the scale of which he is doing. I know you've got Warren Buffett and Herschel, whatever is the name of his company, and
Berkshire.
yes, in its,
yeah. Can't remember the
but
name.
given that he's such a figure, out there figure, it's even more. Wait, you're going to space. You've got cars. You're doing a hyperloop. You've got PayPal. My guy.
It's amazing that this guy is alive during our lifetime.
Yes, like it's very. I'm like, okay, cool. Like this whole thing.
And he's
of
from
it-
Pretoria. Yeah, he's from Pretoria.
Just adding it out
Yeah,
there.
I'm just adding it. Like you see, it talks back to Africans being capable of great things. You know.
You know, so it's very impressive what he's pushing, and again, speak to the teams that he's putting together. Like, I will not lie to you, I've watched plenty of those videos where they failed the spaceship, the reusable spaceships, the reusable boosters. And then I'm just like, when they land, guys, that is out of this world.
Yeah.
It goes up, it comes back, and it lands, the refuel. I was like, because I've always wondered, especially after watching, I like space movies. When you watch is it Gravity, there's all the space debris up there. And humans, once again, we're going out and we're polluting even in space. This guy, so when we send spaceship up and the boosters fall off and some of the stuff just remains in space, this guy's like, nah fam, why are you wasting money like that? Just bring them back,
Yeah.
reuse them, send them back. I'm
That's
just like,
amazing.
this guy.
So
yeah.
he's a great guy. All right, cool. The last two people I want you to just give me a word on: Aliko Dangote and Patrice Motsepe.
Aliko,
The king,
the cement king,
the king.
Huh? the man. I think what cement. I think he started by selling. Can't remember what grains he was selling. I think he got them from his grandfather. I think he also came from his family wasn't like poor. They were already in their money. But no, it's very visionary, and I think especially that he's lasted so long. I know, like in our African countries, corruption and everything, and he's managed to maintain a good standing. I think it's a light unto his work. Is a light unto the world. I find it. Yeah, I'd actually say it's, from an African perspective, one of the more inspiring stories or a businessman. I think he also tries to keep a low profile, which is not a bad thing.
He also said in an interview, I think, that he's never paid a bribe.
Impressive. He did say in an interview when the money started rolling in.
Yeah.
And I'll stand corrected just in case
You get
10 years
cancelled.
from now I get cancelled.
Cancelled.
Now we just live under the fear of cancellation.
We'll find you
When he mentioned that there was money in his account, I think he was a bit younger, because I feel like young men will do this, or people who've never had money. And he withdrew $10 million so that he could see it. So he withdrew it, put it in his house. It was something along those lines, some huge amount. And then the next day he took it back. Because he was like, all I was seeing was numbers. I needed to know, is this real? I'm there, I'm just like, guys, yo.
I want to do that.
No. If my account says I've got 5,000, I know this 5,000. I don't need to go through 5,000. I'm already worried. There's a problem if my account is 5,000. I'm like, wait, what debit order hasn't gone off?
Exactly. What?
What? There's 4,000? Wait, which one hasn't gone off? Ah, shit, it bounced. Oh, no.
Sorry. Oh, yeah. I'm trying to get next month.
But that one next month will be double. Oh, my goodness.
Patrice Motsepe.
Mr. Sundowns, Mr. ARC, Mr. Time Bank.
Yeah.
Okay, not Mr. Time Bank. In the behind. Yes. Mr. Time Bank, Mr. Rain 5G. I can see you over there.
Of course, I'm 5G all day, every day, baby.
Yeah, I know. So he's, but he is one of those, from when I came to SA and we're learning management. It was Patrice. There was like three big people, like especially like my South African friends when I first arrived, they would talk about like, no, I want to be like Patrice.
Yeah.
There's two other guys. I don't know if that's Ivan Koza. There's like, who's this guy from Soweto? The mall guy.
Dr. Richard Maponya, yes.
Yeah. Those names will be thrown around, but it's like, Patrice. Yeah, I want to be like Patrice. Then you start reading about Patrice. I'm like, oh, lawyer. Oh, okay, mining, harmony, okay. Then ARC, I'm like, okay, my guy's divesting.
Yeah.
Okay, Rain, okay. Time Bank, okay, my guy. Then you look at the whole portfolio and I'm like, wait, there's a whole bunch of other companies. I have no clue. But he's got fingers in there. I think he's also got part of Blue Bulls now. I think it's about. Wow. And Sundowns, the work he does for Sundowns and the philanthropy as well. I think it's great. So those are the things that come to mind. It's like, okay, his ventures, the philanthropy, and obviously now with COVID, the giving of the funds, it's it's great. It's monumental. I think it's things that as people we should look up to.
Yeah, one day we'll get there. We'll get there. All right, cool. So that has been Alick Chingapi, the author, the philosopher, the project professional, and he's shared many great insights ranging from professionalism to mental health to what we can do better as men, as well as the African context. It's been very inspiring. It's been good to having you on the show. Are you big on social media? Where can people find you? If you want people to find you, so we can cancel you later.
Yeah, they can find me on Amazon.
They'll find you. You can find them on Amazon.
Just find me on Amazon. Buy the book.
Find Amazon. Buy the book. It's a great read. So that is the latest episode on the NJ podcast. Remember that success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. That means you're doing what you've always wanted to do, and not because another person is telling you to do it. So go out there and change the world because you are the only person who can. Thank you.
Success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal.
I'm gonna show you how great I am.